All right, all right, all right. Let's see what's good. Let's do some hip hop. Oh, maybe it helps if I actually open up Spotify. Second day in a row I didn't do that, huh? La da 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 da. Scuffed. Oh, did that straight close? That did not. Okay, cool. That's probably what's going on. It's not minimizing to the thinger, which means boom, 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 boom. All right. Let's see. Do a little self-promotion real quick. What up, Sangren? How's it going, buddy? All right. Okay. Okay. Everybody's hearing me, I guess. Everything's cool. No problems. Not scuffed at all. Like that little promotion. I wish they were paying me for that. Wish they would. I wish I would get paid for just showing a cup on stream. How weird would that be? Well, what's up, guys? Welcome. Welcome. As usual, I am the MC for the day, Colin Couchet. Testing things out, getting things going, seeing how stuff is moving along. All right, so I guess something I really want to talk about is what's going on. Oh, dude, I'm not just going to sell bathwater. I'm going to go on a jog, take a vial of my own sweat, and sell those vials. It's super hygienic. I bet you eBay won't let me sell it, though. Have to use my OnlyFans account or something like that. eBay's got rules against biological material being sold. I learned that the hard way. Don't get into it. Oh, it's auction, so it's highest bidder. And there'll be an NFT associated with it, of course. Put a little puck inside of each cork on the vial. So you have this vial, and inside the vial will be a cork. Obviously, the vial's corked off, right? So hey, 11 people is really good for the first few minutes. Like, it takes a little bit for things to ramp up. But I've been getting maybe like 18 to 20 people on average. The first few days were a lot more, but like 60 or something, which got me off to a good start. But right now, it's kind of leveled out at 20. I think a lot of the reason for that is because it's a very niche subject matter. And until Avalanche sort of blows up, which is about to happen, I really do think in the next 6 months, this is going to be a very different stream. But, you know, once people start understanding what's going on with us, you know, this is pre-work for something that I know is going to happen. So, you know, I'm just trying to start the whole funnel, start the whole sieve, make sure I have things lined up for what's coming, because people are starting to really figure this out. If you look at I actually watched the Wolfram stream with Goon yesterday. Well, actually, I watched it today. The stream was yesterday, and it was really good. I was very impressed with everybody, and it actually delted me a bit on Wolfram, because like, you read a bunch about a person, you don't see them, you don't talk to them, whatever. I didn't talk to them. You don't see them, you don't know where they are, and a lot of my opinions were formed from articles. That's stupid. It's how it goes, though. I mean, everybody does that to some degree. And yeah, I gotta say, he was really a good host, and it was a really, really entertaining stream. And I hope there's more of that on Consensus, because I think he's a good platform for that. So I was actually very impressed by the whole thing. I thought Goon presented well. He showed exactly how much of a world-renowned expert he is in this. And I'm not just saying that to kiss his ass. I don't kiss ass. I'm bad at that. Like, Goon will attest probably that I disobeyed him so many times. Like, probably 3 or 4 times I just flat out just did not listen and did my own thing. Only one of those times I was wrong, though. And, you know, like, I'm not that guy. If I think you're impressive, I'll tell you, you know? And I was really impressed by that stream, and I thought that, you know, Stephen Wolfram had a good display of guests on the stream. I was just happy with it. I'm glad I watched it. It was very entertaining for me. So, you know, I'm glad it came. Yo, dog, for real? All right, sorry about that. That's my bad. Scuffed! Every one of my phone calls, like, all my devices go through my computer, including my actual phone. That was actually Signal. And somebody didn't remember that I streamed during this time. I should have figured that out. I should figure out a way to turn that off because that's just not cool for you guys. Anyway, I thought the stream was very well done. And I thought I could only half pay attention to it because I got to prepare for this stream as well. Like, it's not like I just jump in here with no idea of where we're going. I got to catch up on the day's news and that kind of thing. And it was quite long. I thought Goon's presentation was very well done. Let me see if I can open them up in browser because I copied a few screens I'd love to talk about. Let's see. So I think this is one of them. If it's not, I'm about to do something embarrassing. Yep, that's one of them. So yeah, these are some of the important like slides from Goon's actual talk, and I thought they were very interesting. So I added some notes. I mean, so first off, I like to point out, I want to point out the disparity between relatively easy for everyone else and relatively easy for Goon and the people he works with. It's relatively easy to analyze. All you have to use is Markovian analysis. It's like I haven't taken a Markovian analysis since my 400 level like operations analysis course, whatever it's called. Back in the day, like it was like I don't remember what that is. That was like mid 2000s. Like nobody uses Markovian analysis on a daily basis. The people they talk to, they do. So I thought that was interesting to just point that out. I think it's also something that things I need to work into my shtick, I guess you could say, is some more succinct ways of saying what's on this. Like literally, this slide is so succinct that it's perfect in that respect. There's a difference between like one thing we've been saying is that there's O1 complexity, but that's O1 complexity is not related to the number of rounds it takes to actually come to a decision. The number of rounds it takes is actually O log n, and Goon has explained that to me a few times, so I had to back that out on my you know, I had to sort of like roll that one back a little bit. But, you know, I think it's really, oh shit. Let me share my actual screen so you know what the heck I'm talking about. This is the second day in a row I've done that too. Oh man, I am not getting used to this. I will figure it out. You will know I will get this down. I will get this so down. I'm like looking at the screen like all super in my own world. You guys have no idea what I'm talking about. So yeah, relatively easy to analyze. Different technique, Markovian analysis. Okay, super easy. I have not done anything related to that since like 2000s, like early. I don't even remember when I took that class. I know I took it twice because I didn't enjoy it the first time, so I dropped out so I could take something I wanted. And then I took it again. Aced it, motherfuckers. Aced it. Aced it. I aced it. But you know, like that particular operations analysis was like something that I learned that in. I don't even know if that's the type of analysis they're talking about. I don't even know. So, yeah, but something I also want to point out is it reaches consensus in a finite number of rounds, so you can guarantee. See, like that's a phrasing thing that makes it really easy for people to understand. At least for me, maybe not you guys, but like for me, it makes it easier to understand. To say, it's another way of saying it will always come to a decision, right? In a finite number of rounds, it will always come to a decision in a finite number of rounds, right? Like that's like a really nice way to say it. So if I'm talking to one audience, I will say it that way. Now, if I'm just talking to like a general purpose audience, I'm probably going to say, yeah, it's guaranteed to always come to a decision. And it means the same thing, but it sounds less cool. So I might integrate that in my shtick a little. Reaches consensus in a finite number of rounds. Shmee. Let's smoke pipes and drink cognac like men. Weird. Anyway, then the expected number of rounds is O log n. So one of the things that's been very like hard for me to discern is what the difference is between, you know, the actual like message complexity for any given round, which is O1, is constant. And the number of rounds it takes to come to that decision is actually O log n. Now, n is actually the number of nodes in the network. So let me give you guys an example. Let's pick a random big number. Let's log let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, log of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. God dang it, Google. Is 16 rounds to come to a decision. Okay, that's a huge number of nodes. Like, this is 123,456 nodes. Now that times what is a literal constant means that you have a literal constant number of like, each decision is like 16 times that literal constant. So for all intents and purposes, like, you have to go really high. So like, I have to go up to, like, say 124 maybe. Might help if I remove that. Like 124. Nope, still not at 17 rounds. How high do I have to go to get to 17 rounds? How many more nodes do I have to add to the network? Let's do a little binary search here. Let's drop this up to 300,000 nodes. Finally at 18. Okay, so that's way too high. So we'll cut that in half. We'll go 150. Okay, now I'm at 17 rows. So that's close enough. It's probably somewhere in the 140 range. 140,000. Yeah, there we go. So about 140,000 nodes is what's necessary to jump to that next leap in complexity. But the thing is, it gets significantly higher, that leap, between previous numbers of rounds required to the next round. That's logarithmic growth, right? So really excited to integrate that sort of stuff into my shtick a little more. Now that I got that down a little more. I knew it, but I was like, yeah, this is just the better way to phrase it than what I've been doing. So that's great. So that's something I'm going to talk about, is the Flare stuff. In fact, I also want to talk about the IOTA stuff. God, that site is pretty. I hate it when people have prettier sites than us. I hate that. That's such a pretty site. How much do they spend on that marketing crap? Anyway. So, yeah, that was great. Sample size is optimal. I don't think they have the worst marketing, dog. Like, for the budget that we have been dealt up until this point, I think that Avalanche has had fantastic marketing. We were the first to raise over, like, a certain amount, like a ridiculous, like, we raised like $42 million. We could have easily raised over 100 million. The demand was there. We just didn't believe that the market wanted it. But the market demand was there. It shut down the first sale. Our marketing was great. So, like, I don't agree with you, Avox King. I don't think we have the worst marketing. I think we have pretty good marketing. We're in our first year. Remember, IOTA's been out for 5 years, has been unable to deliver anything that frickin' works. All they have is marketing. All they have is marketing. Their stuff is run, I mean, it works, but it's like works. You know what I mean? Like, all they have is marketing. Our network released September 22nd, 2020. We haven't even been a live network for more than a year. We haven't. What is that, 7 months? Math, right? So 9 minus, we're going on 6. Let's just count that as a full 9 months. We're 9 months into the protocol. I think we're doing great. I don't know what you're talking about. I think our marketing is exactly what organic guerrilla marketing looks like. I think a lot of the capitulation needs to happen to actually fund a major marketing firm. Like, there's a lot of different things that could happen, but we are not even to our first 9 months of a live network. So I disagree. Yeah, the price isn't tracking the rest of the market that well. I think a lot of it has to do with the liquidity and the way the proof of stake works. I actually prefer that it's more stable. It kind of shows that we are a stable option. Now, everybody hates that in a bull market, right? Everybody hates that in a bull market, but they're going to love it in a bear market, right? They're going to love it in a bear market. They're absolutely going to love it. Everybody loves the pump and dump crap, right? Like, everybody loves a good success story. Yeah, everybody just follows this influencer billionaires buy, and the influencer billionaires are literally gaming the market. You get into a regulatory space with this, and like suddenly it's going to change. The narrative will change. So yeah, I mean, anyway, share screen. It should share. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, I want to talk about that. I also wanted to quickly point out performance. I thought this was really interesting, so I highlighted it. Do you like how I highlighted it? Let me see if I can shrink this down or move it for you. I don't know how I'd do that. Let's see, Control minus. Can you read that? There we go. For that configuration with 10,000 nodes, 10,000, okay, less than 17 rounds suffice. I think that's too high. I don't think we need 17 rounds. Like, that's too high. Like, I don't think it's like, we might have some base level rounds. That's probably why. Either way, it's only 170 messages per node to achieve consensus among 10,000 nodes. Get it? Like 10 samples, 17 rounds. That's 170 messages per node. Now, let me help you understand what that means. If you go to any like classical protocol, they're n squared or n log n, but we're going to go with n squared because n log n is actually just a interesting optimization there that doesn't work in all the worst cases from what I understand, though I might be misunderstanding what Ted told me about that. So n squared, let's just say n is 17 or 10,000, okay? Let me show you the difference. 10,000, that means this is how many messages are needed to be done by the nodes in order to square, right? And in order to come to consensus, right? This is a ridiculous number of messages. Boom. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's 100 million messages. That's not going to work, right? Now, this is the whole network, to be fair. That is the whole network. I get that. But, you know, that's a lot of messages. And you do have a hard cap on the number of nodes you have in the network. You get it to 1,000, you're looking at 1 million messages. That's a lot of messages. That's why people like Polkadot cap it like 400. Even 400 is 160,000 messages. We are orders of magnitude less than every other protocol, no matter how you cut it. I think that's interesting, something to point out. I don't think running 17 rounds is any different than running 34 rounds. So 17 times 2, 34. I don't think running 17 rounds is any different than running 34 rounds as far as it doesn't reduce error. It does, like, literally, if you do a fresh restart on your confidence, it doesn't help you arrive faster. It's a wash. It won't help. And by the way, there's no such thing as a wrong answer. That's what I want to point out here. These are all valid state transitions you're voting on, okay? You're voting on valid state transitions, red or green. The end of the day, you shouldn't care whether it's red or green. That's the point, your objective, right? But you want to make sure the whole network agrees on a single choice. And if everybody decides to agree on red, however they came to that decision is correct, right? That's how it works. It's true for classical too. It's true for Bitcoin. Let me ask you something. You mine something. You mine a nonce in Bitcoin. You get a new block in it, and it goes, I'm now the leader because I found this nonce, and I'm going to put these transactions in this block. He's deciding what transactions go on that block. You don't care. You don't care. You just go, I accept you because you produced a nonce that I agree with. Right? So the transactions that go into that block are his choice to some degree. Not entirely, but to some degree. So that's actually worse, strictly worse than what we're doing. Because if you have a super majority, you're going to very likely, almost impossibly otherwise, be the choice that everybody picks. But it's a preference. Like, everybody just decides on a preference that's acceptable to them. All right, well, this is cutting the... This is what I'm okay agreeing to. And in the end of the day, all transactions that are valid are going to get into the network, right? It's not a matter of not getting in. It's just a matter of where do they go in the chain of the DAG, right? Where do they go in the position of things, you know? So you're never going to get an invalid state transition. It's not like green gets cut out of the equation entirely. Like, you just choose to put it in at this place. That's a real decision you're making. The transaction's still valid. This transaction's still going through. You're just choosing to put it in here. That's the preference. I prefer to put it here. And it's not even an order. Like, it's partially ordered by default. That's why you do it that way. Now, with Snowman, obviously you're picking it total ordering, which might have some MEV stuff involved with it, but that's better than blockchain still, like Nakamoto still. So there's no way you could end up with a situation where somebody spends funds that they never signed to spend. No, you have to sign things to spend funds. Like, the client will reject anything that's invalid. If you sign, like, that's a Byzantine as hell situation. Like, every client should see that transaction and go, no. And in the event that an invalid state transition happens or is accepted by a majority of the nodes, the network halts. You have to get up to 60% of staking value in order for that to actually be the case, by the way. So unlike Nakamoto, which is 50, you have to get to over 60 in ours. Though we temporarily lowered that because of the minting thing. I don't know if that's been taken care of yet. But that's you know, like, obviously we can parameterize this up to 80%, but there's a liveness hit. We don't want that. So, like, this is what is possible with this protocol. It's not with any others. It doesn't matter what the decision is, as long as it's an acceptable decision. All transactions get into the network. And really quick. It's not like you're deciding on, like, whether or not it gets in the next 4 minutes or even 4 seconds. They all happen in the same amount of time. Yeah, the network's partition tolerant by default. There's nothing, it's completely partition tolerant, like, just by default. There's no partitions. If there were, it would have been a bigger problem. There's no partitions. It is partition tolerant by default. What does graceful degradation mean? Is it on this slide? I don't know. What context was that? All right, I'm gonna move on real quick, and while Junkrat is asking and clarifying his question, so I want to point something out. Goon, I'm the jerk who makes the conservative estimates. This too was because I said so. I was not sure where we would be on network release. And I said 2, and people started running with it. I said 4,500 transactions per second, and people started running with it because that was what our early client was doing. I don't know what it's doing now, but now that we have, like, a lot of this database rights and stuff, it's higher probably. Like, there's optimizations being made on the networking, there's optimizations being made on the database side, and Cedrus hasn't even been made yet. Or finished. So, like, 2 seconds. I want to point this out. This is Bitcoin. Performance, latency to finality, it takes an hour. Okay? 36, or... Why does my brain say this? That's an hour, yeah. 30, yeah, it takes an hour. For Ethereum, it takes 555 seconds to come to finality, to say that this transaction's confident enough that you can believe it. For Algorand, it takes 50 seconds, which is really good up until now. Like, really good. But this is like web speed. How long does it take you to load a web page? The average person, about 2 seconds, okay? And we're probably faster than that. So in the time it takes for you to load a web page, you can transfer $1 billion to somebody halfway across the world. What the hell? And for $1? And $1 with a higher price. Like, right now, it's probably like, what, 30 cents? That's really good. That's really good. Graceful degradation is a term that Goon uses a lot to explain how 81% we don't all of a sudden have massive attacks. So, okay. Gotcha. There's when you do, how do I draw this really easily? Anybody know a good whiteboard app? I could show this so easily. I just need to draw it for you. Online whiteboard. I don't know. Has anybody got a good whiteboard free thingy? I just need something to draw real quick. I don't want to pay for it. Christ. Twitter. Like, why does this cost so much? A drawing app. I made one of these in like 2 Doties. Okay, what's Doties? Oh, Doties nuts? Is that what it is? Yeah, Doties nuts. Nice. All right, gotcha. That was great, by the way. Fantastic. Jetbox. Oh, I don't know, man. I gotta work on these emotes. Okay, so frickin' Don. Good old Don Wonton. Does this work? I agree. No class. Bazinga. Okay, now y'all are gonna drop in. Fantastic. Well, I'll try and do it quick before y'all just... there we go. Okay, so... Alright, so here's the deal. Alright. You have this graph, and you want to basically say, what is my quorum? Control Z. Oh, that works. That's cool. Alright, so like, what percent of the nodes, okay, do I need to actually come to a decision, right? So you got this percentage. Let's just go all the way up to like 90. Oof, I am a terrible drawer with a mouse. 90%. And you got like, 50%. And like somewhere around here, you got like 33%. Well, here you got like 0%. I hope y'all can figure out what I'm doing there. All right, so you got that. Do I have these reversed? Okay, so let's just say the number of Byzantine nodes, okay? 0%. So, whatever. Let me, can I clear this? I want to do this again. So, you have the quorum, and then you have the number of Byzantine nodes in the network. So let's start down here, and we'll go say that the number of nodes that are available in the network here is 33%. I think I want to do it this way instead. 50. Okay, you got like 80. Okay, these are the number of nodes in the network. So basically, long story short, is that if you have the quorum, let's say 0 to 100. Let's just go to 100 nodes, okay? Okay, and you got these nodes. You need, as soon as you have this number of Byzantine nodes in the network, your ability to make decisions go from, backwards. Your ability to make decisions go from, you can make all the decisions, then you drop down to 0% chance of making those decisions. Okay, this is what it means to be a classical protocol. It's P equals 1, right? I am doing a terrible job explaining this. I thought I'd do better. This sharp drop-off basically says as soon as you hit 33% Byzantine nodes in the network, doesn't even matter how much of the quorum, as soon as you hit 33% Byzantine nodes in the network, okay, you go from probability of 100% to actually come to a decision to a probability of 0%. This is all classical, okay? A classical protocol is P equals 1, which means that if it's not 100%, it must be 0%, okay? These are the two drop-off points. Okay, so when you have 33%, say, bad nodes in the network, you go from I'm making decisions all the time to I'm making no decisions. I have no guarantees. The system is kaput, right? So that's what he means by that. Okay, so that's a P equals 1 protocol. Now, when you, that's not what he means by that, but that's P equals 1 protocol. Okay, now we've got what we have with Avalanche. Now, Avalanche is somewhere right now around 60%, okay? It can get up to 80%, but we're gonna ignore 80%. It's not something we're actually dealing with. So instead, with Avalanche protocol, you have a 100% chance of coming to decisions, and then as you get to 60%, you slowly drop off, and then it goes to that. So you have a chance of not failing each individual transaction. Like, so if you get to like 61% Byzantine actors, you're not bombing every single transaction on the network. Only like a higher chance of like maybe doing it. It's not until you get to about 70%, maybe around there, that you actually have a really good chance of actually screwing up the network, right? So let's just say, let's draw that line as 50. I might not be explaining it. So it doesn't just immediately go kaput. There's actually a little leeway, a little give, and it's a slow drop off in your ability to actually come to a decision on the network. So you don't have this like immediate like crap out. Like you got this chance that the actual network will still go. Now, actually, when they look at these graphs, I believe they did it in a way that starts with this and moves up that way. So I probably got these two reversed. But whatever. Point is that I'm terrible at drawing, and don't ask me to do this ever again. So yeah, but that's what it means. The slow degradation is like, just because you hit 60% Byzantine nodes doesn't mean the whole network just immediately goes Byzantine. Now with classical protocol, it does. It's immediately compromised. But with Avalanche, it's like this slow like degradation of your opportunity, your value, your ability to actually, S the B, sh the bud, shit bed. So yeah, it's basically my understanding of that. So I might have screwed up that graph or some details there. It's actually in Goon's talk. So I can pull that up and maybe show you the graph, the actual graph that was used. And that should be, oops,
accept or reject. And,
copy, close, paste and go. And so I could actually show you if I could go to his talk.
You can do this on a transaction by transaction.
I love these things. Okay, so we're looking at Goon's slides, which are not here. That's somebody else's slides. Peter Gax, part 2 of Q&A. I don't want the Q&A, I want the real presentation. Where's the actual presentation? Ooh, this is getting boring real quick. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Hold on. This might be it. Nope. Where's Goon's talk? There's too many people here. I know. I've seen all this stuff. Where is it? Coils. It's Goon's. There it is. Okay, cool. So it's actually in Goon's talk right here. Boom. 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 So it gets really close here, and then I think I showed it. Here it is. Perfect. Okay, so this is how he describes it, okay? So you have the probability of a safety violation. So he does go from 0 to 100. I've definitely got it backwards, but he starts at 0. Yeah, I definitely did it backwards. Oh, actually, I did a percentage of Byzantine nodes and whatever. It's fine. So that's a 2/3. See, these actually should be virtuous nodes, I think. Because when you get above 33%, oh no, that's for avalanche security. Never mind. But if you go to like, it's like avalanche security is strictly better than, let me see. I wish there was a better way to scan through this, guys. But that's close to what he was saying. So basically, avalanche is way betterer, and the degradation drop off that he was talking about is actually, oh, come on, you can do it. You can't do it. There we go. All right, so the actual degradation drop off, you see it's very smooth here. It's not like it immediately just drops off to, see, he's a probability of safety violation. I did it kind of like the opposite. I did probability of good decision, which is why my thing was flipped. And then his was also the number of Byzantine nodes on the bottom, and mine was actually a number of Byzantine nodes, but I did it by percentage. So a percentage of Byzantine nodes instead. And what his is like this smooth graph right here. But if you were to do, and I think he actually drew it on here at one point, if you were actually to do this with a classical protocol, you'd get to about 33%, and then so right about here, and then it would just go strictly straight up and sideways. So there'd be no smooth degradation of consensus. It would actually just be a strict drop off in ability to in your ability to actually do something about it. Okay, cool. So whatever. There we go. Haha. That's what he means by it. Sorry, was that boring, guys? I apologize. All right. I just want to point that out, and I also want to point out that we're less than 2 seconds, which is awesome. And then we've got security, no sudden loss of guarantees if F is exceeded as in classical. So that is the smooth degradation thing that we're actually talking about. That's literally what I wanted to point out too. So that's why I knew about it. All right. Considering someone with so much money, ZCause18, considering someone with so much money who tries to manipulate the avalanche system by buying high percentage of supply and having majority of the staked AVOX, assuming majority of the AVOX are not locked into circulation, is there anything stopping them from doing so? Considering someone with so much money who tries to manipulate the avalanche system by buying high percentage, no. If people are willing to sell you over 60% of the stake in the network, and they do, and you accumulate over 60, first off, you own that network completely. Because 60% is the safety, that's the area where you get to start deciding what happens on the network. Unilaterally. If somebody buys 60% of the network stake, like they can actually stake over 60%, they own the network. Okay, so what's wrong with that? My answer is nothing. It's actually better than Bitcoin. Right now, you can go out and get a ton ton of compute power, or a cabal of people with compute power. Put them in the room with Saylor and Musk and have them make decisions for a network, right? Same thing with Avalanche. You have coins, but with the decision power you need for hardware, you can just go out and buy the hardware. You don't have to have any vested interest in the network at all. You can be a state actor with a ton of hardware just lying around, right? With Avalanche, you need to buy the coins. So that's a harder thing to do, in my opinion, because the coins are scarce. And by the virtue of you just buying up all the coins in the network, you're increasing the value of the coins in the network. So now you have to literally set your money on fire in order to start screwing with the network, right? Like literally, if you go out and you buy all the coins in Avalanche, you can get over 60% of the staked value. Not only that, but remember, it's staked. These coins are staked. So you actually are locking them into the network for at least 2 weeks, maximum 1 year. You've made the rest of the coins more scarce, right? A lot of these concerns are just moot, you know? It's like, yeah, you could get over 60%, which is better, than, by the way, than a 50% attack, 51% attack, I guess you call it, on Bitcoin. And you can mess with the network at that point. Okay, cool, but you have to actually get the coins. And like Junkrat Moses said, you have to pry it from my cold dead hands. Here's one of the things, like Binance can't stake your money. Binance can't stake your AVOX. If you own AVOX and it's liquid AVOX, they need at least enough liquid AVOX to not stake your, like to give you your money back on demand. If they don't, they've got a problem, right? If they can't give your money back, you've got a problem. Acid does burn as que es stake. Problem is, I know who he is, so I know he knows what stake is. So he's being clever. But yeah, I mean, like you have to be like you have to own the coins and you have to lock them up for at least 2 weeks. A lot can happen in 2 weeks too. Like it's a risky maneuver just to screw with a network, and you're probably just going to set your money on fire. You're going to increase the value you're going to make money for everybody who's not you, because you're going to lock up your stake. You're going to buy their coins from them. They're going to get tons of money jacking up the price. You're going to lock your stake up, and then you're going to screw with the network and burn all your money. You just gave your money to a bunch of strangers for no reason, and then you're walking away with nothing. This is why proof of stake is significantly better than proof of work. Because proof of work, you at least got that hardware at the end. So, yeah, I mean, you have to lock up your stake. It puts your skin in the game. You cannot just join and unjoin. People who try to do this fail. It is not good economics. I think Algorand tried, and then they had to dial that back, if I recall. You can't just join and unjoin with stake, unless you've got like some central coordinator or you're just fake. Which I know one protocol, ADA, which is like that. Or they're not technically like that, but they're kind of like, I gotta reassess what they're doing there. I do. Too many funky things going on. Don't believe them. Let me talk shit about people for a second. Because I'm good at it. I really recently found this great article. I really suggest you guys read it. I'm not going to talk shit for real, but like literally. Yeah, we already covered the Wolfram stream. I thought it was great. I was very impressed, very happy with it. I want you guys to read this article. And then I want you to go out and buy, what's her name's book? Camille? What book was that? I forget what it's called now. Like, I'm bad with names and stuff. Like, I'll know what it is, but I won't have the name for it. It just doesn't pull out of my head very well. It's kind of embarrassing a lot of the times. What is the name of her book? Ay, ay, ay. Ah, that's so frustrating. Dog, what the heck? I'm thinking about doing some karaoke on stream. What do you guys think? Oh, I can't remember what it's called. What is the name of her book? It's like right here too. Teeth, blah, 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 many developers, blah, blah, blah. It's the source for this article. Few understand. Few understand. Highlight. Oh, I'm not on my thing. Yeah, anyway, long story short is there was a book that was out, and for some reason my brain doesn't want to pull it up, and it's driving me crazy, and I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, and it's pretty good from what I... Like, people who are involved in Avalanche are saying it's a decent book. That's cool. But yeah, no, this is definitely an article worth checking out. It's not called Out of the Ether, though. Oh, well, yeah, okay, there's that book. There's another one, though. Criminy. Oh, shucks, it's gonna drive me crazy. How about this? Cabela? Is that her name? Nope, wrong person. Camilla Ethereum book. Infinite Machine. Ta-da! This one. So I heard this is actually pretty good. So definitely scope that out. I have not yet. So that is Camilla Russo. Yeah, I heard that was pretty good. I don't know myself, but, you know, I can help the community a little bit. Read it. Check it out. See what it's up. Amir seems to like it, so that's cool. Or at least he likes to say, hey, you've never read this, so you don't know who I am. I had to deduce based off that comment and some others who he actually was on Twitter. Anyway. Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's an interesting book, but this article is pretty cool too. So I don't trust Ada. Yeah, I don't trust Ada. I mean, they've been out for how long and they haven't delivered anything. You know, haven't delivered. This is the thing, is when you get to a certain point. No, Amir Chetrit. This guy. Oh, this is probably where I saw it. Yeah, this article's, I think, where they mentioned it. So this is an important, yeah. Yeah. So, anywho, long story short is, my stream's boring, huh? I really want to go over the IOTA stuff. I actually don't have a direct link to their new paper, so I just found out about it, and I'm really kind of curious what they got going on there. I'm pretty much going off of Goon's analysis because he's better than me. When he says that they're copied, I believe him. I mean, I know that Flare's copied. They straight ripped off Borealis like a few days afterwards, then published a white paper, and then said, we came up with a new consensus protocol. I was like, nah. First off, the white paper didn't match what they were doing. Second off, their API calls were literally ours, and then they had a port that was exactly ours. And this was like a few days after we released Borealis, so they've done zero work and have zero quals. Like, they're freaking liars. No. I could straight up look at you and go, I'm not worried about libel or, what's it called? I'm not worried about libel, and I'm not worried about, the other one. Begins with S. Whatever. Because I know that you said that your stuff was new and that you built it, and you did not. Back in March, maybe? 2020? Somewhere around there? I know for damn certain you did not build that. So, now where they are now, I can't say. But I could say for certain, they didn't build their original stuff, and they pitched something that wasn't theirs. They didn't know how to do it. They didn't know squat about it, and their paper did not match what they were doing because it was our stuff. Ports and all. They even ripped off some of my JavaScript code. No, they actually ripped off the client. So they ripped off the client and said that they did something new back in March 2020. Yeah. Like before we left on, when we did the Borealis, whenever Borealis was, that's when they did that. Like that's when that happened. Like a few days after that, like a week after that. Yeah, no, they didn't do it. And they weren't even part of Ripple at that time. They got acquired, I believe, after that. So Kevin Sekniki commented on their testnet release. Look, here's the thing. Kevin Sekniki is part of a company. Yeah, whatever. Look, everything that gives us credit to, like, you know, hey, we're doing Avalanche is legit is good, right? That's fine. But anybody who says that we're happy that somebody else is like literally copy pasting the work and then saying they did it in his novel, that's bothersome. And you know, that's what happened. And now they're rolling it back a little bit, but like, I'm not cool with that personally. I'm not cool with it. They don't have an innovative bone in their body. Give me a frickin' break. If they did, they would have done it. I have to look into the Sybil protection mechanism they have, because I've never heard of it before, so I'll have to look into it. I'll be shocked if it's something that isn't already existing. I'll be shocked, personally. I'll give them some space and say there's a possibility that they've invented something net new, but I'd be freaking shocked if they came up a new way to do Sybil protection. I'll be so shocked. I mean radically new. I'm not talking like proof of space-time is new, but it's still basically proof of work, just in a different way. What does FBA even stand for? All right, where is this? Like, I gotta find what they're doing. FBA. Oh, crap. Fulfillment by Amazon's not right. Flare. Like, what are they actually doing? A Turing-complete Federated Byzantine Agreement Network. Let's see. Federated Byzantine Agreement. Okay. The Flare Consensus Protocol? You mean the Avalanche Consensus Protocol, MFer? March 2019. Called it. Exactly called it. Now it's on document. They lied. Like, they're straight full of crap. This is by Sean Rowan, co-founder and CTO of Flare. On the Interledger forums. They're full of crap. Alright, well, whatever. Like, now they're trying to say that FBA is their Sybil protection mechanism. Because, like, that's all that, like, proof of stake and proof of work is. This is something I gotta talk to you guys about. Oh, is FCP, is that what it's called now? Okay. Flare Consensus Protocol. November 5th, 2019. Yeah, this looks familiar. Yeah, I'm not going to go through this. Not on air. I've seen this before. Let me ask you something. If they have this, if this is a thing, why did they rip off our protocol? Why did they rip off our client? You know? Why did the first thing they did is rip off Borealis as soon as the code base was released? Huh? They're full of crap. I don't even have to feel fear for them. They're full of crap. Whatever. Alright, well. I got a buddy who's coming on, but he's in traffic and on his way home. So we'll have to wait for that. That's fine, I got time. I'm still into this. Yeah. Like almost all coins, they are full of crap. And you know, that's the thing. It's like they got this bot army of, or, you know, people are like, oh, Avalanche has got terrible marketing. Why? Because we're honest? Do lies sell better? Is that what you want? I keep rotating in my chair like this while I'm talking. Like it's a physical tick. Kind of is. I gotta stop doing that. It's really distracting, I'm sure. Probably makes you all nauseous. You know, I really like Anatoly. I think he tried to build something legitimate. I think that his TPS is wrong. Like, Anatoly defends it, but I think he has to, but his TPS is not true. So what they're doing is they're including consensus messages in their TPS measurement, which is not correct. No, I did not contribute to the Sherpa Snark ceremony. I didn't even think about it. Didn't even consider it. Sorry, Tyler. Didn't even look into how to do it. It wasn't something I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that. I should have probably done that. I don't know. Didn't even cross my mind. Sorry, bro. If you directly asked me, I would have done it. Just pointing out a personality difference, I guess, between you and me. You're much more social than I am. You get involved in community. I tend to keep myself in an ivory tower of criticism. I have all week? Okay, cool. Can I do that now? All right, so now you're officially asking me to do it. I am definitely going to do it. Like, where is that thing again? Is it ceremony.sherpa.cash? How do I do this? Do I have to do anything cool? Like, if I don't have like a wallet handy, like that I'm willing to show on air. Ah, Christ. Okay, thank you. I see you pasted the link. What do I do? All right, so it says contribute. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Give me a sec. All right, hold on. Let me figure out how to do this on air without disclosing a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Avalanche. I'm just gonna list myself as Avalanche. C-chain wallet optional. Contribute. Please provide your random input that will be used as a source for entropy and contributing along with browser and RNG. I'm just gonna go. Oh Christ! You guys can't see. That's the problem. I think this is right. Nope, that's not what I want. There's no random... I thought there was like a random input generators that were like all over the place. There we go. Ah, Christ. This is what I want. Is there like a website associated with this? That'd be dope. So I don't feel like let's say random entropy generator. I guess there's no real... There is like a really good randomness generator that's online. Randomness... I know it because it like goes to like... It goes to like... It pulls from like background radiation. And it's... maybe it's down. That's why I can't find it. Oh well. Oh well. I'm just gonna do stuff. Bing bong. Bong bing. Bing bing bong. Bong bing. Ba 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 ba. Ooh ooh ooh. Yeah. I'ma hit some numbers. Yeah. Oh, wait, you still can't see me? Well, that's fantastic. All right, well. I don't know why this isn't working, but okay. I guess you can't see. That sucks. Well, either way, I had to type in a bunch of stuff. Now it's like generating a random computation. It asked me to wait, force stop. It's uploading and verifying my contribution. Doing its thing. I don't know why it's not sharing the window capture. It's not actually like even seeing this other window, which is even weirder. Maybe we should go into game capture? Huh? That'd be cool. Huh? That'd work. Yeah, no, it doesn't do it unless it's a... It doesn't look like it does... It's not allowing a regular... Like, it takes the incognito window just fine, but it's not noticing the non-incognito windows. So, you guys are just going to have to believe me. Unless I do this. I could do this. I could do capture... capture... full screen app, capture foreground window with hotkey. Nope. Full screen application. Okay, what if I do this? F11. Did that work? No, it doesn't look like it's working. Nope. It's protecting me from myself. This is boring for you guys, I'm sure. Alright, is what it is. It's uploading and verifying your contribution. I'll let that run in the background. My apologies, folks. You just have to believe me, it's happening. So I'm doing that in the background as we are talking. Whoa, this is making me a bit laggy. So, definitely do this. Go to ceremony.serpa.cash and make your contribution. That'll be dope for you guys. Very cool. All right. Also, I am having a weird issue where I noticed that it's still trying to select an entire... Oh, no, that's fine. Cool. So I really wanted to go over some of the, like, what their new paper was. I don't know where to find it. Does anybody know where to find it? Because I'm kind of curious to look to see if I can find something that... Core decide. Fast probabilistic consensus with Byzantine infrastructure. I suspect this is it. Or it could be this. Actually, all of this could kind of be it. When were these released? Is this in order of being released? I have a feeling FPCBI. Low communication probability, center knows has a political bet. Prove that nevertheless the protocol works a high probability when its parameters are suitably chosen. Dude, that's automatically sounds immediately like it might be. Yeah, that automatically sounds like Avalanche right there. Oh snap, there's an article? That means I don't have to do any work. I think it worked. My contribution hash, got it. Post attestation. Tweet. There, I tweeted. Hey, Lamau. Here you guys go. Also, send me a like, follow, subscribe on both my Twitter and my YouTube account, which, by the way, I still don't have a good URL for that. I don't know why it didn't give me that option. Maybe it will tomorrow, I hope. I don't know. But it looks like I got my attestation for the ceremony. I am participated. Thank you, Tyler, for forcing me to do that. I'm going to go ahead and take that URL you just gave me, and I'm going to go ahead and pop that in here. All right, so Avalanche versus the new IOTA consensus protocol by the Near guys. They don't like us very much last I checked. It's a touch of space mesh. Okay, so it's called Quarterside. We'll probably remove the so-called IOTA coordinator. Good idea, guys. So the new consensus design attracted a lot of interest because of the similarities people drew between Avalanche. Indeed, IOTA and Avalanche are both built around DAG. Nobody cares. Look, guys. Anything you can do with a DAG, you can do with a blockchain. Sorry. Anything you can do with a blockchain, you can do with a DAG. So, blockchains are a special case of DAGs, where there is only ever one descendant for any node. Okay? So, there's that. Now, what DAGs only do is add a layer of parallelization. Okay? That's what they're supposed to do. So you can have things running at the same time that don't conflict, and you don't have to wait for total ordering, right? Also, these arrows are pointed in the wrong way. Just want to point that out. Things don't point back to Genesis. Genesis points back to everything else. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. So, anyway. Well, sorta. I guess it really doesn't matter which way they point. Yeah, the C chain's using Snowman, so it's totally ordered. Like, C chain and P chain both use Snowman consensus, which is just a DAG. Like, imagine instead of all these forks, you just had this. That is a blockchain, right? Just that one path that you see right here is a blockchain. If you just say you can only have one path, you've made a blockchain out of a DAG. That's all that Snowman is. It's a special rule that's added to the DAG, basically, that says instead of having multiple vertices, you just have a linear. Like, that's it. That's all you need if you do it right, right? So DAGs are just a data structure. Like, people are reading this and go, DAG-based consensus, blah, blah, blah. I learned about DAGs in the early 2000s in university, right? Like, that's like DAGs don't matter. It's just a way of storing data. There's a million different ways you could store this data. Like, it's a dependency graph. Have you guys heard of that? Like, it's a dependency graph. Like, those existed before computer science was really a field. Like, these are things that are not special to consensus, okay? And using a DAG doesn't make your consensus algorithm or break it. It's just a data structure. Just like a blockchain is just a data structure. People consider blockchains to be this whole, like, new field or new... No. They've had these kind of hash-locked ordered chains in finance for so long that people were surprised that they got a new word for, or I don't even know if it was a new word for it. We're surprised that people were adopting that term, that idea, as something specific to consensus. No, heaviest chain is the invention of Nakamoto. The actual hash-locked chain of data is not new. DAGs are not new. I just want to make sure people are aware of that. Okay. All right, still waiting for my buddy to show up. I don't know if he'll make it. He's stuck in traffic. We'll see. So, like, DAGs are not that important. Like, please stop. Nobody cares. I don't care. If I see somebody immediately going, "Oh, DAG-based consensus," I'm immediately going, you probably aren't an expert. Well, we certainly did. We definitely do. We definitely do. If we are trying to build market dominance with the people who actually know what the hell they're doing, not IOTA folks don't know what the hell they're doing. You know, their first version of their protocol had ternary, in-house built roll your own cryptography, ternary crypto whatever, like encryption, like you know what I mean. You are fools for thinking that the people who did that and definitely rolled it back, and who had the whole coordinator thing, they had to build a centralized system just to keep their coin going, are qualified more than the Avalabs team at actually developing stuff. If you want to compare quals for quals, Avalabs is going to win. Period. End of sentence. They understand this. You know, I mean, like, what do you want me to say? We need to protect the IP so that it doesn't get... It does... Like, these guys have been at this for 5 years. They've been selling and flipping coins left and right. They can swing a lot of money around, right? Look at their website. This is a beautiful website. It costs a lot to build beautiful websites. You have to get a firm which builds beautiful websites, and you have to get people maintaining beautiful websites. They pay for this stuff. They pay for it. Look at Avalab's site. It is beautiful in its own way, in its simplicity, but it's not ludicrous. Theirs is kind of ludicrous, right? This is a very reasonable website, you know? Made by reasonable human beings, doing reasonable work, and getting reasonable products out with reasonable expectations. I feel like calling you a hater. Not a hater. Do good work. Do better. Anyway, so Stellar Consensus. What are you talking about? Stellar Consensus Protocol will not block the patent application. Stellar Consensus doesn't even come to consensus. Stellar does not work for consensus. Stellar is horribly broken. Yeah, I could tell he's trolling. What the hell is he talking about? It's not even remotely relevant. Like, Stellar is a... Alright. Here's the problem. I forget more than I remember when it comes to stuff. So if I step into the Stellar minefield, I'm going to misquote or misremember something. So unless I get a little refresher, I'm not going to talk about Stellar. I will talk about the conclusions I walked away from my good month of reading up on Stellar. The conclusion is there are little areas inside Stellar where there is consensus. And then beyond that, you're trusting those little areas. So the whole network does not actually come to consensus. Now, in a little conclave of nodes, you could come to consensus, but you're trusting those nodes after that. It's not transitive. It doesn't, like, you can't transitively agree on trust. It doesn't work that way. That's not consensus. That's a trust network, a trusted network. You're trusting that conclave, and those conclaves are trusting each other. It is not a network-wide consensus protocol and is nothing like Avalanche. Nothing. I like trolls. Trolls give me a reason to talk about stuff I know. Every time a troll tries to troll me, I get to spank that troll live on air. Quorum slices are sampled nodes in Avalanche. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. You made a positive assertion. Who the hell is Chitra? Who is Chitra? Who cares? Who cares what this person is? I don't care. Like, who is Chitra? Like, all right. I forget who half these people are. If I knew this name at one point, I don't know him now. Chitra, let's say, Quorum Slices. Let's see what who Chitra is. Tarun Chitra. Okay, who cares? Who is this person? I don't have to know who everybody is. Tell me who this person is. I'm bad with names too, so... Gauntlet. Let's see. Like, why do I consider... Why is this person
I'm working on that chart, but it's almost done. What's good?
Dimitri, you're broadcasting to literally everybody.
I'm good.
How I was gonna say something. I totally forgot.
Give me 1 second.
Oh, snaps. 1 second.
Well, my buddy's here. Scuffed. Give me 1 second. I'll mute him real quick. All right, he's muted. Yeah, like Tarun Chitra. I don't know who that is. Like, I've seen that face before. Where have I seen that face before? Like, I'm sure he's known for something. I just don't know what. And I don't know why I should care. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying... I don't know. But I will say this. Quorum Slices. He's pretty smart. Still haven't read the paper yet. Author of the paper. All right, let's look at the paper. April 2019. Very old. Committee selection. We're not using committee selection. And I would agree, committee selection is very similar to quorum slices. I would actually very much agree with that. So Tarun might be a very smart guy, but I don't know why I should accept any of these people as authorities just because you say Chitra. Like, first off, you don't understand this paper. You, Ora Dane, if you think that committee selection is what Avalanche is doing, I'm going to vehemently disagree with you. That's what ETH2 is doing, and it's horribly broken. It's horribly broken. With a lower, all right. This is a conversation for another podcast, okay? But committee selection is a lot more broken than people think. There is with 17% Byzantine nodes in a single committee, you have a high chance. By high, I mean greater than the hash, the probability, much measurably greater than the probability of a hash collision, SHA-256. You have a chance of actually preventing a block from being, a epoch from being written to the ETH2 beacon chain. When you get up to like 25%, you have a really high chance comparatively. And since every single screwed up block in the Ethereum chain causes a forced basically rollback because you have to have 2/3 attestation of positive attestation to get it committed to the chain, then you've got a problem, right? But even then, done. Why you gotta do me like that, bro? I think I sound way cooler than Hoskinson. Actually, I think I sound younger than him, which is funny because I'm way older than him. Isn't he like 29 or something? Did he like just turn 30 or something? Like, he's young. That guy's surprisingly young for a guy who looks like he's in his mid-40s. I'm surprisingly old for a guy who looks like he's 12 with a beard. I'm not having her on my show. She will never sit in my lap. So, he's 33. There you go. He's 33. Okay, cool. So I'm only a mere 6 years older than him. But he does look like he's really old. He's always looked older than he actually is. That's interesting to me. I wonder what that's about. Yeah, for real. I thought he was way older. He's 33? Yeah, I'm 39. So... No, I'm 39, bro. I am an old hat. I have 20 years experience under my belt. I started programming professionally when I was 16, going on 17. I started at a physics laboratory. I started coding database applications as a developer using Perl and Cold Fusion and JavaScript back in 2000. I'm sorry, not 2000. 1999 was probably the first year I started. Like, I built the very first computer alongside of Alan Turing. In fact, all of his good ideas came from me. And then, when von Neumann looked at our work, he was like, this is amazing. Nothing will ever get better than this. And then I showed him my ideas, and he stole them and made the von Neumann architecture. Yeah. Prior to me, there was no such thing as set theory. Bertrand Russell was my student. I shot an arrow into a tree, and an apple fell on Isaac Newton's head. I am the Platonic ideal. Specifically a circle, because I'm fat. All right, so let me help D figure out his junk. All right, so I gotta unmute my mic here, and then I gotta figure out why I can't hear my buddy. I don't want to like hear myself either. That's a problem. Can I hear? Can you talk for me, D?
Yeah, man.
Can I talk to you? Am I not hearing myself double? That's fantastic. Okay, cool. I think we're good. Hey, D. All right, guys. I'm going to flip to another screen here. I want to introduce you a friend of mine. There it goes. Cool. All right. You're all set up. So this is my buddy, Dimitri Ferguson. I'm bringing him on because today is the day where we talk about whatever the heck we want. And
whatever we want, anything.
Whatever we want, anything. And so the cool thing about you is that you got your fingers in a lot of stuff, like meaning that you know everything. And
I try to be in tune with all the things.
You've talked. So let's talk about your podcast for a minute. How many hours of content? First off, pitch the podcast. Make sure people know where to go and what it's about. Because this is my OG network. I am super up. I'm super. Let's just say like this stream might as well be part of the Bitcoin podcast, but I just don't want the word Bitcoin anywhere near my name. So
we've got plans for that. We've got a plan for that.
Fix it and I'm in.
Should I introduce like who I am? Like
go for it, dog. Yeah.
So. Yeah, my name's D. Dimitri is my government name. I started the Bitcoin podcast in 2015. Me and Corey started mining crypto in 2012. We've just been kind of obsessed with crypto for years. The Bitcoin podcast was like one of the first 5 podcasts about crypto. It was one of the first. It was up there. And I just remember when we started, I was like, Let's Talk Bitcoin. Because I like Andreas, but I think I can be more entertaining than Andreas. That's literally the thing. And maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But here 6 years later, we're still running, doing pretty well.
6?
And
has it been 6?
6 years. 6 years as of 4 days from right now. 6 years.
Cheese and crackers. You gonna make a cake?
So, I'm gonna get drunk. And that's about it. Like me and Corey, the very first file that we uploaded was 31st of May 2015, and then our very first show was June 4th of 2015. All right, so 6 years is a long time. I don't think I've ever committed to anything this long, except for maybe undergrad, and that was like not even me committing. It was just like, well, I got to do something to pay these loans off, so I better finish this out. Like, so yeah, man, I think to answer your question, we've got like 800 episodes. So I personally have produced over 10 podcasts, which is bananas to think about, but 800 episodes, which would be 800 times an hour and 10 minutes. That's our average episode length. So over 800 hours of content, just, that we've made. and put
You've
out there
had
into the world.
everybody on your podcast. Like, what is who? Name some of the big ones. Like, you had Joe Lubin.
We had Joseph B. Lubin. Can't stop him from Lubin. Which I personally do not like interviewing Joe, because he scratches his bald head while he talks, and it comes into the mic. Right? If you do this, can you hear it in your mic? Like he'll like rub his head while he's talking. See, I guess you have a really good. You can barely hear it if you get it close, but he does it like this all the time, and then he'll rub his chin into the mic, and I'm just like, Joe, you've got to stop. You've got to stop. We've interviewed Goon Sarir like 6 times. He's coming on a 7th. We've interviewed Vitalik's dad twice. Not Vitalik, but Vitalik's dad, who is like, okay, Vitalik's cool. I get it. Super genius guy, but his dad is way cooler. Way cooler.
You interviewed Vlad too.
Vlad, we've interviewed. I mean, our big heavy hitters that we just can't seem to get on for obvious reasons are the Winklevi, Nas, and Lex. Yeah, we really want Nas because he's an angel investor in Coinbase, right? So I want to interview Nas. Like, hey, like, rapper, how did you hear about Bitcoin and what made you, pull the trigger on it? Being Nas. And then
you might have to settle for a Lil Nas X.
Yeah. I'm gonna catch him right at the trough of his controversies that he likes to start. Like, wasn't his most recent one? He was like S in the Devil's D or something, and everybody was like, "Hey,
have
man,
you seen that video? That was great."
I haven't seen the video, but I heard about it. Like,
it's dope. It's good. It's worth taking a time out. Next time you're on the toilet, just like whip it out.
Okay, this is like my
phrasing.
My yeah. Watch the phrasing. You need to get that video in you. Is what you need to do. Get it inside.
Put it deep inside you. Yeah.
Yeah, man. We've interviewed lots of people. We've interviewed Lil Boosie. That was fun. We've interviewed rappers. We interviewed what's her name? She's a very popular musician in like Europe. I wish I could remember. Obviously, we didn't make that much of a memory because I can't even remember her name. We try to get Lil Dicky. We can't get Lex Luthor. Brian Armstrong from Coinbase. We can't get him on, but
I think Brian Armstrong is actually trying to do good work. I think it's easy to call him Lex Luthor, but I would rather call Bezos Lex Luthor than Brian Armstrong.
Yeah. So it's freestyle. What are we talking about?
Grimes would be good. Whatever you want to talk about, man. Like, what's on your mind these days?
I'll tell you what's on my mind. Most recently, I've been thinking about trust, right? Like, why do humans, and I probably don't have the academic, ammo to be talking about these things, or at least not like in any kind of way that my opinion matters, but like, why do we choose to trust the things that we do, right? Because ultimately, trust makes up a lot of all the systems that we use, right? And when I think about Bitcoin and blockchain and all this tech, and I'm like, we're not doing anything different. We're just making a different color Kool-Aid. That's literally all we're doing, right? Because you have to trust.
I love that phrase. I've never heard it before.
Different color. We're not. We're just like, like our parents liked red Kool-Aid, and we've decided, fuck that. We want purple Kool-Aid. Right? And so now we're like making purple Kool-Aid. Oh yeah. And we and we just trust. Oh yeah. That's a great soundbite. But that's the way I feel like with crypto, is because we started to decentralize all the things, and then as you pointed out on hashing it out, and I listened to multiple times like all you guys' shit, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work. And why would we want to do that? Like, it doesn't, why, like, I don't do my own plumbing. I trust my city and my municipality to set forth standards to then issue plumbing licenses to plumbers that can come in and do my plumbing. I don't fucking want to do that. I don't ever want to be a plumbing node. I don't ever want to do that. Like, and so that's what I'm thinking is like, okay, so then Bitcoin didn't really change much, but all it's doing is changing the flavor of stuff we already do. And, sometimes it does help to have, purple Kool-Aid instead of red Kool-Aid. So if we just think of it like that, then we have to think, okay, like what are the benefits of pitching this purple Kool-Aid over this red Kool-Aid? So
okay, this analogy's gone a bit far. Like, I get it. Like now you're mixing like sewage systems with Kool-Aid, and I understand why you would do that because Kool-Aid is really bad for your teeth. But like seriously, like yeah, I mean, like what you're trying to say, if I might paraphrase, is that we trust our infrastructure, and it's okay to trust your infrastructure. And Bitcoin is just another type of pipe, and then we keep coming up with these new types of pipes, and this one's PVC, and this one's lead. You know, IOTA's lead, and Ethereum's PVC, right? It's cheaper, it's easier to make, and it actually like sustains stuff. Lead will poison you. Yeah, that's a burn to somebody in my chat right now. Like we got all these pipes, and I got a button for burns. There we go. Like we trust all these pipes, so why don't we trust them with a crypto? The point to think is that it's not even about trust; it's about governance, and like who is governing is the question. Right? Mm-hmm. And when we're talking about trust with our municipality, we vote on people.
Yeah.
But nobody voted for the banks.
Did we? Or is it in there deep somewhere that we voted for the Federal Reserve and we voted to have central banking? Is it deep in there?
To some degree, maybe. But do we get to re-vote on them? I didn't vote on them. Did you vote on them? My grandparents didn't vote on them. My grandparents weren't old enough to vote on them.
Yeah, we vote on the people that put them where they are.
Right, so we vote on representatives to keep it in check, but at the same time, there's so much power and money. So do we vote with our dollars? Like, is that what's really going on? So it's about like what is voting and stuff like that, and what does it mean to be a participant in the system? And it's pretty clear that a lot of people have been far removed as participants from the system. But I think it's interesting you bring up the word trust and why do we trust and how do we trust, because it's actually a broader topic, and like cryptocurrency is just one part of that topic. In fact, we had talked maybe like 2 years ago, almost a year and a half. Yeah, it was about 2 years ago, actually, over 2 years ago, about creating a docu-series on trust, just trust, not like crypto. Crypto is a big part of the narrative, but mostly just trust. How do we barter? How do we believe? And how do we marry somebody we trust? Like all these types of things that really are part of our everyday life and an essential component to society. It's just trust. Society is literally a structure for developing trust. So it's an interesting topic.
It is. It's just been on my mind a lot lately because ultimately, when we first started the Bitcoin podcast, our thing was like mass adoption is the only thing that matters. But in order to have mass adoption, you have to have layers of trust, like deep layers of trust, because we're talking about societal change here. We're talking about epochs, if you will. And there's a lot of trust that has to be established. Hell, people still don't even trust calculators. I know right now today, in some school somewhere, a teacher was like, you're going to have to learn how to do this by hand because one day that calculator is going to go away. And it's like, no, it's fucking not. I've never not had a calculator within arm's reach my entire life. And I'm in my mid-30s. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like...
And now you got one in your pocket that can just beat the crap out of the ones we had in school. This is way better than a TI-83 by like leaps and bounds. Like, you're not going to have a TI-83 wherever you go. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, Mrs. Krabappel?
Yeah. So it's like, it's just Mrs. Krabappel. Mine was Miss Boshi. I remember her name.
I think I got that from Simpsons. I think it's Mrs. Krabappel's from The Simpsons.
Oh yeah, that is the Simpsons lady. And then like Boshi is such a teacher name thinking about it now.
Totally
like,
is.
You can't be anything but a teacher. But anyways, hey, I gotta ask you some questions. How you like streaming? How you liking this?
I mean, like I've always said to you, if I could podcast full time, I would. Like that would be my thing. And now I'm in a position where I don't have to think about money for a little while. I mean, I probably will. Who knows? We'll see where things go. Right now, I'm cool. I can put my feet up for a hot minute because I'm tired and I need it. I'm not hand over fist rich. I'm not. But like, I have enough where I can take a step back and really develop myself. And so I'm doing what I really want to do. I want to stream. I like this. This is fun. I want to build a news network around this. But you have to start somewhere, right? And like the dream has always been to build a large network of news delivery services that are a little more curated, like than the typical like DeFi degen like podcast or the like literally I just want to build something that I think can produce content that is not just topical, not just entertaining, because I try to be entertaining. I don't want to be boring. I don't want to be like, on today's news, Joe Lubin decided to put another $2,500,000 into, it's like, it's boring. Like, you want to be fun. You want to capture people. You want to be memeable and memorable. But you also want to be informative. And I think that's something I think that I could start working on slowly. And, you've always been part of that plan. That's why I'm bringing you on. It's not like that plan changed. I just don't want Bitcoin near my name. But like, it's something that
why do you hate Bitcoin so much? You hate it so much.
I don't.
You say that with that nice slick soundtrack in the background, but you hate it so much.
I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Bitcoin brings with it a lot of BS. I don't trust the protocol. I don't trust the mining system. I don't trust proof of work. And when we're talking about trust, I look at the infrastructure and who owns what, and I'm like, Bitcoin's not. Bitcoin was so what we have had to this point has been a series of proof of concepts that have gone too far. Bitcoin was developed in 2009 by a guy who we don't even know who he is, right? Who wrote a paper and nobody thought it would work, but they went with it and it suddenly started working, right? So Bitcoin is a proof of concept. There's no two ways to look at that. Nobody took it seriously for a long time, right? So Ethereum's the same way. It's a proof of concept. It's always been a proof of concept chain. Like they never intended it to go as far as it did. They built something that they wanted to prove that they could do smart contracts. They wrote a way of doing it and it worked, right? Congratulations, it worked. But, it was never engineered from the ground up to be something that's lasting. Never engineered to be something that's lasting. And if you're not able to change the system, like Bitcoin is not able to change. Like it is so difficult to make any qualitative changes to Bitcoin.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this very cautiously, but I don't think there's a great many things that are, when we say built to last, like what's the time frame we're looking at?
I think that Bitcoin should have made major changes 5-6 years ago, and they still aren't able to. You see, so like I'm saying, like if you need a couple years to figure stuff out, what good looks like, that's fine. But like I think it's really difficult to build a system where the system is incentivized to not change.
But you have to build a system with change as like a root part of how it can develop. Yep. Like you have to, right? Like I was thinking about this shit the other day. I think about a lot of random shit, and that's why I don't smoke a lot, because if I did, I would be lost in my brain. Yeah, but I was on the subway in New York, and I thought to myself, man, it's crazy that they had enough foresight to think they'd have to come down here and fix all this shit one day. So they like probably engineered that into these tunnels somehow, right? And it's like that. And then I was like staring at a bridge. I live in Louisville, and I went to a park. And is that OPSEC? Should I not be saying things like that? I don't live in Louisville. Fuck you, internet. You don't know me. But anyways, I was at a park.
You're visiting.
The bridge, and I was looking up at the bridge, and I saw like, oh shit, like there's a walkway right there and some ladders all around this thing. So like, it's like, was Bitcoin built with the intent to just set it and forget it? And I think Ethereum, like that, some of the things Bitcoin says in its white paper, and a lot of the people that love it say, is like, come on, man, you're smoking crack. And then Ethereum is the same kind of way, because Ethereum's like, oh, you launch your decentralized application and that's it. It's going to run forever. It's done, baby. And it's like, wait a second, man. Like, you're going to go fix shit. Like, you're going to have to go fix stuff. And you're going to have to update your software. Nobody's still using Windows XP. Nobody's using it. Well, somebody's using it. But nobody's using like Windows.
That was
95.
One of the problems with Windows, is that every time you had a new version, it would kind of screw things up because things wouldn't smoothly upgrade. Upgradability. Now they have Windows 10, which is basically you can consistently upgrade all the way across. It's nicer. But I mean, like, that was a big problem with Windows too. You'd have registry problems every time you upgraded stuff, and like building things so that they were built to be upgradable is actually a really tough problem. But that's also a sign of over-engineering when you get to the point where you can't do that. You know what I mean? In my opinion, like, the thing about Avalanche is it's really simple. That's why I like it. I'm gonna pitch my shit for a hot minute. Like, it's a very basic. There's not a lot to change. Everything is changeable as platform level, right? Like, that's the only difference you make. The protocol itself doesn't need to like modify a lot. There's not a lot to change. Not a lot of knobs to tweak, but you get huge changes from those little knobs. Like minimum stake amount, that's a knob you could tweak, but that's a platform change. It's not a consensus change. The consensus changes are, what is the default alpha and what is the default beta and what is the default K? And these are all little things that technical, unless you're technical, you're not going to care about, because you're still going to get ridiculous transaction speeds. But with Bitcoin, you have block sizes and people understand that. You have fees and people understand how that works, right? These are the way, the chance of, long story short is I feel like there's too much discussion by people who aren't qualified to make the decisions about how Bitcoin is changed and upgraded, right? And I don't know. I don't like Bitcoin.
Yeah. And that boils back.
I like Bitcoin, but I don't like Bitcoin. Right? I like it, but I don't like it. I like what it did for us. I like what we use it for right now. But
it started something real nice, right? And
that's what I mean.
It's gonna go. But that boils down to the trust thing. And this is a very fun. I got an argument with my girlfriend about this just yesterday, and she was like complaining about the CDC and complaining about scientists, and I was like, why? Like, why do you have so distrust in people that literally give their lives and sacrifice millions of dollars to do research on random things? In the case of events just like this, like the one we went through last year, right? Like, yeah, they're not all the way right, but let's see you do research on DNA. You think I'm gonna listen to you? Hell no, I'm not listening to you, right? And then, and so it's like, it's a trust thing. And like you said, like, there's people that talk about the development of Bitcoin that shouldn't be talking about it, and you don't trust them to be talking about it because you don't trust their opinions. So it's very funny that the irony of Bitcoin is like, I don't know who said that. It took 10 years for people to get Bitcoin, but no, it didn't. People still don't understand Bitcoin, right? It took them 10 years to understand they should have invested in it 5 years ago. That's what they understand. That's what they understand, but they don't understand Bitcoin. Right, yeah. But
let me ask you something. Do you know the difference between liveness and safety?
Liveness and safety. No, I know the definition of those words.
Do you know what consensus protocol is the foundation of Bitcoin?
It's not SHA-256.
Nope, that's a hash algorithm. So here's the thing: you are a user. You are a power user. I want to put that out there. You are the majority. You are exactly the power user of this stuff. You use this stuff all the time. This is something you're interested in. For 6 years you've been having this conversation. Nakamoto consensus. Another word for that is heaviest chain consensus, right? The blockchain itself is like proof of work is not the consensus. It's a Sybil protection mechanism. Most people can't understand. Like, there's these little things about this stuff that people are just spewing wrongness about. And like, when I first came to this space, I believed that wrongness because how would I know better? How would I know better, right? Yeah. So, like, I feel like the people who make the decisions for the network are so detached from the consequences of their decisions. When you have Saylor, whatever, and Musk in a room with a bunch of people talking about how they're going to do the mining and efficiency, man, like, I hate to say it, but I doubt that they're making wise decisions for the protocol. Like, I do. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just tired of watching it happen. I'm tired of watching it happen.
I think this whole industry needs to be careful about how the greed evolves, right? Like, Bitcoin leveraged greed to create a good system and beautiful for the size and the functionality that it was at. I do think that there's some things where Bitcoin can't keep up anymore. But I think that certain things, I've always had that fascination with entropy, right? Because to me, it's like one of the most baffling things in the universe. And like, there's emergent things that happen that we can't explain, but they emerge. And what happens when the greed in crypto gets to a point where you start to get emergent corruption,
Right.
right? How do we filter that out and decide and get that out? And I don't think that we do. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're not changing anything. We're just making different flavor Kool-Aid.
Yep,
So.
I agree. Well, except for I think Avalanche. So again, I'm a maximalist now. You're gonna have to deal with that. I went from being like
I've got some bones to pick with them, but at the end of the day, we'll handle that behind the scenes. But I do love Avalanche.
Well, no, let's pick it out. Pick it out now. What do you got bones to pick with? I'm happy to hear it.
Nobody's. How many people are watching?
Everybody.
I'm not putting this out there. This is behind the scenes.
No, I want you to put it out there. Oh, business
I'm not
stuff.
putting it out there.
Oh,
no.
Business stuff. Yeah.
This is behind the scenes stuff.
All right, gotcha. Because I got you. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can't do that. That's not good tact.
I thought you meant as far as like the other stuff going, like the like how the distribution is or anything like that. Like,
no, I what I would love to do, because you know me, I love to on ramp a good person when they need a good on ramping, is the consensus algorithm mechanism is different in Avalanche, and it only works when it's being used. That's something I've never been able to wrap my head around. So help me understand that right now.
Oh, that's easy. Okay, so with Bitcoin, to produce a new block, there could be no transactions in the network, right? Or a block might not get completely filled. Okay? To produce a new block, you mine for nonces. Everybody mines, not just you, but literally everybody is doing this work to make things happen. And as soon as they find a nonce, they can produce a new block. Now, if there's no transactions in that block still gets produced, right? Work is happening regardless of whether or not there's any transactions to be done, work to be done. Like any actual like value added work to be done, right? So it just keeps churning and doing stuff. With Avalanche, it's what's known as quiescent, which means unless there is a transaction in the network to be confirmed, there's no confirmation work which needs to be done. Which means that I take a transaction, and until I broadcast it, the network doesn't need to do anything. But as soon as somebody in the network receives that transaction, the network tries to come to consensus on that transaction and then does something. So what it means is that you have variable block times on things like the C chain, where like if nobody's using the C chain for 3 seconds for some reason, not unheard of, then it won't produce a block. Why would it? Why do I need to produce a block? But sometimes if there's like a bunch of transactions going, you'll see a block like every half a second, every second, right? You get these variants in block times because it doesn't actually produce things unless it needs to produce things. So that's what it means. It's like literally on demand. Like the difference between waiting for your favorite show to come on air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. or firing it up on Hulu whenever you feel like it.
Which obviously makes it a lot more energy efficient.
Oh, yeah. But that's not why it's energy. Well, that's partially. Proof of stake is one of the other reasons. I mean, like, the fact it doesn't use proof of work, which does the whole grinding thing, you know? But definitely the fact that you don't do work unless you need to is you're right. It's more energy efficient, for sure. Also, the fact it doesn't need GPUs or any specialized hardware, just regular CPU works. Like your regular old laptop will work. That's another really good reason why it's energy efficient. But
I like the incentive structure too. Go ahead.
The proof of stake thing, like the fact that
I
you
love it. Like,
and there's no slashing, which is like something I don't talk about a lot, but like you don't need to slash on this protocol. I should. There's no slashing in Avalanche because we've shown that slashing doesn't help. So there's a lot of people who said that you have this thing called nothing at stake problem. It's very easily disproven that that's not actually a thing for Avalanche, especially. So long story short is that it's just a better overall. Like every metric across the board, it's just like, and like you can use it right now. If I'm wrong, show me. Like literally, you can show me. Like go show me. Like it's not hard to show me that I'm wrong. Like it's out there. Go do it. But you can't because
we're trying to do a couple of things with Avalanche. Podcast wise, we decided like a month ago, like, hey, we're not just going to be like most podcasts and that we're trying to, open up that booty hole and get some sponsorship money pumped in there. It's exhausting to anyone listening right now. Is like, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to be a personality. People are going to give me money. Yeah, it's cool when it happens. Like, for example, we got to talk about like a meat subscription service. Every month you get a box of meat that you
Butcher
can grill,
Box.
and it was great. A Butcher Box, yeah. We were sponsored by them, and then they cut our sponsorship because I made a jingle that said, "This is meat you can't beat," and they were like, "That we don't like that jingle," and I was like, "Why not? You can't beat your meat," and they were like, "Come on now, you know what you're doing," and I was like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" So they cut our sponsorship there.
They got mad. That's why they cut the sponsorship.
That's why they cut this.
Couldn't you just say sorry?
I didn't say sorry. I continued to sing the jingle, and then they.
Oh well, that will do it. I mean, they're saying like
So,
we don't want our brand represented that way. I mean, you got to represent the brand the way you want. That's the problem with sponsorship, right?
I think in reality you could beat the meat, and you're supposed to beat meat in order for the enzymes to break down to get the flavor in there of the salt and of the herbs. So that's why they're saying, look, this is intellectually flawed. You can beat this meat, and I was like, but you're not saying what I'm saying. Like, this is the best meat ever. You can't.
I thought you were talking about schmastermation.
Excuse me?
Schmastermation. It's when you beat the meat. That's why because it's got smash in it. So you're schmastermation.
Yes, absolutely. So, ultimately lost. But anyways, where was I going with this?
That's a real word, right? Or am I the only one? Is my mom the only one who taught me that? Like schmastermation?
Masturbation. I think that's a you thing, Mr. Couche. So that's my new thing. I'd say to people like, I think that's a you thing. Like, you're like, oh, have you tried this sandwich at Potbelly's? I'm like, no, I think that's a you thing.
No, I don't know. I don't think it's against anything in the terms of service. I just misunderstood a word. I think so. My bad. Yeah, you can't beat the meat. Yeah, it makes sense. Butcher Box. You know, I thought it was a clever jingle. I heard it. I had no idea that happened though. I didn't know why that. Yeah.
Getting sponsorship sucks, right? You got to talk with people every day, every week. Hey, this is a good fit for your brand. Are you sure it's a good fit? Like, no, I'm pretty sure we're a good fit. Like, it sucks. So what we would love to do for our community is find and launch as many validator nodes as we can for the right blockchains that we want to support. And then we can, for Avalanche especially, you could delegate to our nodes, right? If you don't want to do the hard work of running a validator node, just delegate to us, right? And we're trying to create like revenue that can go into a DAO, and then if you are an audience member, you can own that DAO, right?
See, that's a really nice way of doing things. I love that. So, all right. Can you break that down one more time? Because I want to make in as succinct way as you can, so that maybe I could cut that into a clip at some point and help you out.
Really easy. What we're trying to do is launch validator nodes, right? We're starting with Avalanche because it's easy and it's fun, right? But we're trying to help build out the infrastructure of the blockchains that we think are awesome, right? And we're going to run validator nodes. And then as you, a member of our community, have Avalanche that you want to delegate to us to help us validate, then we will do that, right? You'll get your return on helping us validate. We'll get our return on you guys being able to delegate with us. And the rewards just go to the DAO, right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create TBPN DAO. We were trying to leave Bitcoin out of it as much as possible, but we got to stick to our roots, right? So it's just a DAO, and then ultimately,
so to be clear, when you say delegate, do you mean the actual delegation process in Avalanche, or do you mean let's say you want to hit the minimum stake on one of the validators, you delegate to the smart contract, which then funds the validator to. So
we have the minimum stake for the nodes that we want to spark up. We would just have you send us your Avalanche, and now I might be ignorant in how I'm saying this, but to my understanding, if we have a validator node, then you can delegate your Avalanche to us, and then we just get more, for lack of understanding Avalanche, more share to secure the network. I look at proof of stake as like virtual proof of work. So like we're getting more hash rate, right? hash rate.
So that'd
that's
be a
the
cool
idea.
feature request, actually. I think No Text Editor has a really good point. How do you transfer delegated rewards to a DAO? And I think that you just came up with a really good idea. If you could dictate what chain delegated rewards go to, which you can't do in Avalanche right now, then you can send it to a smart contract, which manages a DAO.
That's the part we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, so you can't do that right now, but like that would be a really cool feature in Avalanche, is to send it to a smart contract on the C chain instead of like a output on the P chain, and have that. Or yeah, that'd be really neat. I don't know if that's possible yet. I mean, I think that's something to consider. That would be super dope if you could do that. That would be a new way of doing DeFi stuff. Like it could be really cool. So I mean, like
That's
there's a
the
lot
idea.
of. Yeah, I think it's a really neat idea. So
that's what we're trying to do at the Bitcoin podcast, because I realized after 6 years, holy fuck, man, I'm old now. I don't look that way. I shaved recently. But after 6 years of doing this, I was like, man, all we do is talk about it and don't do a lot about being about it. Right. So unless I dig into this stuff and learn more how it works, and like you said, you need to learn how to code. And I'm like, yeah, kind of. Right. Like I need to learn a little bit more at depth and then start using it for the community, and fuck everything else. Right. Find as many ways to engage our community with crypto instead of just talking about crypto every day like Moonboy, BitBoy. I love BitBoy. No, I don't. I don't like you, BitBoy. I don't like what you stand for. I don't like 90% of the YouTubers out there that are just like, oh, you should go buy a WVT coin because I heard on a napkin, I saw a napkin in the elevator that, you know, they're using delegated shrimp fried shredded proof of stake fucking sharp cheddar. And it's like, what? Do you even know what you're saying? Do you even know what you're saying?
They don't. They don't. Number go up. GPP fuel. So tell people what GPP stands for. We're going to go over hours with this particular podcast, by the way, guys. So once this interview's over, I'll take a brief BRB, and then I will go over this paper that I promised I would go over. But yeah, just to keep you going, D, since you're on a roll. What does GPP stand for is one of the terms of the Bitcoin podcast.
So one of the memes, I guess, that came out of our community is GPP, and it means general purpose person. And so one day, Dr. Petty, me and Corey were like, I don't call him Dr. Petty. He's Dr. Petty he's Dr. Petty to the GPPs, but to me, he's just like my best friend in life. And he was going on this riff, and I was like, Corey, none of this matters to like the average person. Yeah, but he was like, yeah, that's general purpose use though, and this is great for the general purpose person. And I was like, that is the most offensive way to refer to a human being on the planet. And like then all of a sudden our audience started chiming in on Slack, and they were like, GPP, you're nothing but a general purpose person. And so now that's who we consider everybody who, if you're in crypto, everyone you get a text from who you haven't spoken to in years, and they're like, hey, should I buy Doge? That's a GPP. Right? Anyone you didn't talk to since the basketball court in middle school, and they're like, hey, you do that Bitcoin thing, right? You're a Bitcoiny person. That's a GPP, right? So what I say to Corey all the time is, as you design these things, if you don't think about the GPP, you're not going to do a good job with your thing, right? Because, you know, you got to think light switch easy with this stuff. I consider myself I'm smarter than your average bear. Like I'm Yogi in this bitch, and I don't give a shit what happens when I turn that light switch off. I really don't. I don't care how the electrons flow. I don't know what capacitors they hit. I don't care how many microprocessors. I don't give a shit. I want my lights on when I hit the switch. Right. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
I think it's a great term. I still do. By the way, let's differentiate that between MPC and GPP. MPC is kind of like people who just regurgitate everything they hear and are just kind of like autopilot on everything. Like GPP is just somebody who just like straight up wants. They're not like they're trying to learn, but like they're not part of it, right? They're just trying to like figure out what's going on around them. Is that a good way to put that or not?
It's a perfect way. Like I'll give you a perfect example of a GPP. My sister-in-law, she's a dermatologist, which is the most competitive field of medicine you can go into. Right? She's a very intelligent person, one of the smartest people I've ever met. Back in 2013, I had a 15-point PowerPoint presentation, 15-slide PowerPoint presentation, trying to convince her to invest in Bitcoin in 2013. Yeah, tell me about it. Well, she was like, I don't get it. I was like, what do you mean you don't get it? Like, you're a fucking super genius. You take people's ass skin and you put it on their forehead and it looks regular, it looks fine. And she's like, yeah, but that's skin. I don't get this. I don't even want to get it. Like, this is, what are you talking about with this math and these things? And I was like, huh, that's a GPP, right? Yeah. Totally capable of understanding this stuff, but doesn't want to, doesn't need to, doesn't want to give a shit. Just wants it to work. When it works, she'll use it. When it does, as long as it doesn't and it's confusing and weird, she won't.
Yep.
That's it.
It's that whole buy a cup of coffee analogy. You say if you could buy a cup of coffee with crypto, it's got general adoption. Other people have said that too. It's not common. It's not just you, but like it's kind of true. So yeah, that's the general purpose person metric. I love it. Anyway, D, I'm coming up my time, so I'm going to try and leave some space for after hours to go over this paper that I promised I'd do. But I appreciate having you on, man. I appreciate you in general, like as a person.
Can I come back more? More?
Yes, of course you can. Yes,
I'm just gonna surprise hop in.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring you in on Avalanche Technical Wednesdays, and we're gonna go over Avalanche technicals, and then you can like code with me live on air. I actually don't code on air. You do not want me coding on air. Like, no, I don't.
You don't want me coding. Period.
Yeah, so like, no, I'm kidding. Like, definitely Thursdays are your day. Like, you're welcome. Let me know when you got some time. Pop you on. All right.
Okay.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on air. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, man. It was fun.
Cool. Also, keep the cursing down next time.
Oh, word? You're not allowed to curse on this?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I would prefer to keep it at minimum because Twitch has terms of services.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
It's all gravy, baby. I'll talk to you about it next time. But yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And I feel like by saying that on air, if I could just point to it and go, I did something about that. But yeah, man, you did great. I love it. All right. Talk to you next time, man. All right. Bye.
Peace.
All right. So I do need to take that. So like I budget my bathroom breaks and I made it to the 2-hour mark, but now I got to go. So like,
all right.
I'm going to
go.
Well,
thanks for having me, man. Sorry you're cursing. I didn't know that was a rule.
Oh, no, you're all good. Hold on. Let me turn you off. Sorry. You are off the air, bro. So let's see. It's hard to get like the rhythm of an interview going. Like he did nothing wrong there. I'm just got to figure out like turn off the mic, and he thought I was still talking to him. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back in like 1 minute, and then we can go over this paper that was asked to been going over. And I'll be right back. Doop doo doo doo. All right, fellas. All right, boys. How's it going, lads? And all sorts of other gendered language I shouldn't probably use in this day and age. I'm never gonna grow. I'm not trying to cause drama. I love this soundboard. Okay, so, all right. Here's the thing. It's really hard to read something like this in detail on air. There's a lot of reasons why I'm kind of like just skimming stuff and blah, 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 and speaking about things I already know. It's because, like, if you go back and you try and do something like this on air, you know, I mean, you run into problems where you're misreading something because you're also trying to keep the audience in mind and you're, you know, yada, yada. So I'm asking for generosity when I do something like this. I don't want to go over this line by line. I don't want to go in this in detail. Okay, I right now. But I will, like, skim it and see if anything jumps out at me immediately. I did this for what was I doing the other day that I did this for? It wasn't Chia. It was another network. Oh, it was Mina. It was Mina. I went through there. I said, this is probably the case. And then I immediately jumped to the paper and I found something that supported that case. And like, that feels good for me. But I'm not going to go through it in like line for line detail because it's really not the place to do that, right? What I can say is that there is a big problem if you say that Avalanche has committee selection. So another word for a committee is, a committee is basically a type of parliament, okay? And like Avalanche is not parliamentary, okay? There is no parliament. There's no elected parliament in Avalanche. And when you have a committee, you are electing a parliament. It goes all the way back to the Paxos and the PBFT stuff. It's a very classical way of doing things, okay? You're electing a group of people to make decisions for the network. You're having people, when you do a committee selection, you have a pool, a big pool of people, and you're electing them to make decisions for the whole pool. So you're saying, I've got 1,064 validators on this network, and I want to select 128 of them to make decisions for this, either this part or the whole network in whole. And there's a lot of ways you could do that. One of the ways that people do that is with random beacons. You have things like Definity's Threshold Relay. Another way is with ETH 2.0's Randall. He uses a beacon, a random beacon. The network comes to agreement on one random number, and that is used to seed a selection of people who are valid to make decisions for a particular piece of data over a particular time period. For instance, one shard. Okay, so Avalanche doesn't do that. Let me differentiate committee selection from what Avalanche does. Avalanche has an independent node, meaning that the whole network doesn't make the same coordinated decision. There's no need for a random beacon. There's no need, all right? A independent node decides that it's going to use its independent random generator to randomly select X number of nodes on the network. The default for Avalanche is 20. So let's say we round up and we have 1,000 validators on the network. Each round, my node is only going to select 20 of those validators. And my selection of 20 is very likely to be different than your selection of 20. Okay, different sets. If we even overlap, to be honest with you, with 20 over 1,000, it's going to be pretty cool. Like, if there's an overlap of like 5 nodes, like that's pretty cool. Like we got a pretty cool overlap going there. That's really it's hard to do. I mean, like the odds that we're both gonna have at least 5 nodes that are the same, very slim. But I, independently from you as a validator on these networks, assuming we're both validators of the network, are gonna select random 20 nodes, and then we're gonna ask them the same question. That's not a committee. We do not have the same people giving us answers. Okay. Everybody is participating in the process by virtue of the way this works. And then that's just one round. I have to go back out and ask another 20 random people, weighted by stake. Yeah, Junkrat just said, weighted by stake. Another 20 people, weighted by stake. The question. So I guess it actually would be likely that we'd see the same certain nodes because of the weighting of the stake. But like in general, like all things equal, it would have been weird. Okay. So we're going to go out and I'm going to ask another 20 people. And I'm going to do this like, say, 16, 17 times. 20 times, whatever. We're going to I'm going to continuously do this. That's not selecting 128 fixed people to make a decision for the 1,000 other people. You know what I mean? That is not a parliament. That is not a committee. It's not the same. No, I'm sorry, Ardane. That's not correct. If he is saying that, then he's wrong. He's completely wrong. He does not know right. Everybody has to, a committee is by definition, everybody has to have the same thing. That is what committee selection is. If he is saying something totally different, then he is wrong. Period. There is no gray area here. I am correct and he is wrong. I don't want to believe that that's what he's saying, though. So let me see where he's defining committee. Because if he's defining committee the way you're saying it, it's totally wrong. And he's automatically, this paper should be discarded. Because he doesn't know what he's talking. He's using wrong definitions. That is not a committee selection. Like selecting random people is not the same as selecting a committee. The network selects a committee. A committee decides for a network. This is like the definition of a committee, no matter how you cut it. In real world, in network protocols, it is the definition is that a committee makes a decision for a larger body of people. That's what they do. Let's see, where is his definition of a committee? Definitions. First, we describe memory of federated business algorithms. Maps each vertex to a set of one or more quorum slices. Intuitively, a quorum slice for a node view. Oh, frickin', how did that get there? I must have clicked a source. All right. A quorum is a set of nodes, U, subset of V, such that for all V in U, there exists some S V in Q of V, quorum of V. So quorum is defined as the V union S, where S is, make sure I got this right. Federated business system is a pair. V is a set of participants, and Q is a quorum slice of the function. V is equal to 2 to, what the hell is that? That notation I'm not really clear on. 2 squared to the 2 to the 2 to the V. Okay, got it. V is in S for all S inside the quorum of V. Minimal set of nodes that overlap. Yeah, this is going to take me a little longer to parse than I think I have on this stream. But I know what quorum slices are. I don't know if I recognize this notation or not. I mean, I know what he's saying, but like, he's defining Q such that blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to figure out why this is there, 2 to the 2 to the V. That might be a little out of my depth. But it's a quorum slice. I know what a quorum slice is. Okay, so the chord slice function Q maps a vertex to one or more quorum slices. Okay. A sufficient set of nodes for V to reach agreement for node V is a sufficient set of nodes. Intuitively, a quorum slice for node V is a sufficient set of nodes for V to reach agreement. Okay. And that's why there's 2 to the 2. Okay, got it. For example, a traditional Byzantine agreement, every node has a quorum slice. So this is the function of the quorum slice for, okay, this is S. So 2/3, got it. Okay, so you need to have at least 2/3 to reach quorum on a classical consensus protocol. That's why we're getting to that, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Quorum set of nodes UV such that for all in U there exists some S in the function with S subset of U. In other words, a quorum slice is a set of nodes which can reach agreement without input from any other node in the system. A set of nodes which can reach agreement without input from any other nodes in the system. Okay, fine. That's fine. So it's a subset of all the nodes in the system. A quorum is a group of nodes that can reach agreement without input from any other nodes in the system. I don't know why you'd want that, because like literally the whole system is the intent of this is for the entire system to come to an agreement. Now let me check over here. What are you guys saying? I was set of all functions seems like a power set. Yeah, 2x is a power set of x. Set of all subsets of x. Avalanche does need to have some eventual overlap. So 2 to 2. Actually, that's the interesting thing. Avalanche doesn't necessarily need to have a actual quorum overlap. Not as it's defined. You do not need to have an eventual quorum overlap, although it does kind of inherently happen in the system. There's no single decision-making process such that you need to have a quorum overlap exactly. It's sort of like, what's the word for it? Manifests. There's an actual word for it. But it actually like literally kind of happens by result of the process, but it's not an actual exact quorum set overlap. You do not need that. It's not a requirement of the system. 2 to the v represents a combination of smaller subsets, the number of nodes. 2 to the v represents a combination of smaller subsets until, yeah, okay, I went over that already. The restrict 2 to the v is stellar. It's just for ease of analyzing the combination. Yep, okay, got it, yep. So, in other words, a quorum set is a set of nodes we can reach agreement without input for any other node in the system. A traditional Byzantine agreement system with 3 to n. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. We rephrase the definition of 1 and 2 in the language of the theory by applying to direct hypergraphs. FBS is directed hypergraph H, whose hyper edges are the... Oh, geez, this is going to get a little out of my depth then. Quorum is a set of U, subset of V, such that for all V in U, there exists an edge VT incident to V with T V in T. So let me do this again. If it is directive hypergraph H with V edge. So hyper edges are the form V of T, okay, for T in V, interesting, and V in V subset of T and V in exists in T. Well, that's redundant. I don't know why those wouldn't be both necessary. Oh, I see. T is a set. Okay, got it. My bad. Quorum is a set of U and V such that for all V in U there exists some edge inside V of T, incident to V. Okay, 2 important properties for me. Safety and liveness. A set of nodes for an epoch exists safety if no 2 nodes externalize different values at the same time. A node and epoch exists liveness to externalize. Okay. Alright, look. He's defining quorum slices. And then he is saying this new definition, or not so new, FBAS, which stands for Federated Byzantine Agreements. What does it stand for? Federated Byzantine Agreement System. Is the directive hypergraph, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just defining what Stellar does. But that does not define what Avalanche does. This is not sufficient for Avalanche. Like, it's not even related. Like, it's just not. There's no quorum set. Like, there's no concept of rounds here. This is literally just, like... So, he's literally just saying that there is such thing as a quorum slice. There's no quorum in the random selection for Avalanche. It's not necessarily, like, exactly a quorum. It's not enough. Like, here's the thing. You select random 20 nodes in a network, it's not a quorum. Like, it's a random 20 nodes that you are using as a statistical sample. Does that make sense? Do you guys get that? Like, there's no quorum from the greater set per se. It is a sampling of the greater set. It is not the same thing. Like, you're not using what they're saying as some sort of like gospel. I mean, it's similar in the fact that you're selecting things from the network, but that's about where it ends. For the safety to exist, you would need at least one node that bridges the gap between the two partitions. We don't have that. An avalanche seller can be configured out of random selection to generate this quorum select. You can have no nodes in my sampling select when I do my consensus and you do your consensus for this to work. Like, we can, as two nodes, we'll have no two rounds will have any nodes that exist, any sampling that exists. Not only that, but let's say in round 1, I select node A, B, and C. And in round 2, you select B, C. Round 10, you select B, C, and D. Okay? So round 1, I select A, B, C. In round 10, you select B, C, D, which means we have an overlap of B and C, right? But the decisions that I got from the queries responses that I got from round 1, B, C, are different than the responses you got from round 10, your round 10, B, C. Meaning that in round 1, B and C both told me red, and in round 10, B and C both told you blue. Why? Because the network changed. This is where like the concept of like the metastable stuff kind of comes. I don't like that term with regards to this. I don't feel like it matches what we're doing very well. But like it's literally not the same. Like the actual nodes themselves changed their decision in the time it took for you to actually sample them. You see what I mean? This is a dynamical system. It's not the same thing as a quorum slice. Not even by a small margin. Like, there's nothing in here that is like that. Let me show you, if I could like literally show you this. There's like you're arguing, but you're not correct. And I don't want to be that guy, but like like, let me see. This is the only way I know how to get to it. Like, let me just visually show you what I'm kind of talking about. I don't know if it'll be sufficient for your needs, but I'm gonna try anyway and see if you like it. But like, look. I think it's here. Or there's a link to this demo. Okay, cool. So like, look, here's the demo. It's great. Like, look, you could pick two nodes here, and in the first round, they might flip a few times. You could watch it happen. Like, things will flip. This node just flipped here. Like, decisions will flip. It flipped from orange to blue. And the weird thing is that it ultimately wound up being orange, right? You watched it happen. You can literally watch nodes flip, and then this one just flipped more blue, but it ultimately became orange, right? That's why these are not quorums. It's visually, you can see that happening. So, like, I don't agree with anybody's assessment calling anything that Avalanche is doing a quorum slice. It's not. It's not a committee selection. It's not a quorum slice. It is a statistical random sampling of nodes on the network, and it can vary from round to round. So just because you queried two different nodes does not mean that a decision was made from those nodes. Like I said, if in round 1 I select nodes A, B, C, and in round 10 you select B, C, D, we have an overlap in which nodes we selected, but their decisions are different between those rounds. If in first round B and C both told me blue, and in round 10 it tells you orange. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, let's go back. Stellar can be figured out of random selection to generate random corn slices. There's a graph below that covers what you're saying. Was same with Stellar. That's the same with Stellar. I don't know what you mean there. It's called valency in Stellar. Scroll down on the paper. Scroll down on the paper to see what I'm talking about. Where the hell am I scrolling? Tell me where to stop. Give me a page number. Give me a point. Give me a place to scroll down to. Like, Stellar does not come to finality across the whole network on any set of decisions. They do not. They have said this. Like, it is a trust model beyond the quorum slices that you're in. You are trusting. Just because you have overlap does not mean that you are actually coming to decision across the whole network on the same piece of data. You trust them at some point. Right here? Is this where I'm looking at? Okay, cool. Where in here? Using Avalanche to generate a quora. In this lecture, we show that Avalanche can generate quora that satisfy quorum intersection property of the Stellar protocol. This Avalanche achieves liveness and safety guarantees similar to SCP. Theorem blah. The blah theorem. Show that under certain conditions, avalanche can generate quora that under certain conditions. What are those certain conditions? We're going to need to find that out. Avalanche can generate quora that satisfy QIP. Let me go. Well, first off, let me just make sure he's analyzing avalanche correct. First off, that's false. Well, okay, wait. That might not be false. Well, this is wrong. I've shown that earlier. It actually is log n. Yeah, see, this person just doesn't understand avalanche. Like, this is just flat out fucking wrong. Unless I'm, like, misunderstanding something horribly from what he's saying, this is just wrong. The algorithm does this by having users private randomness to select everyone knows the authors. It's like, this is log n, O of log n, not kn log n. K can be reduced out, by the way. You could just say n log n. It is not n log n, it is flat out n. Flat out log n. Number of communication complexity of log n. This is wrong. So, I mean, like, I could keep going, but I can already tell you that I'm going to discard this entire paper. He's wrong. He's flat out wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. You can look at this and just go, this is wrong. Kn log n is not correct. Why is kn? Where do you get k? What are you talking about? The communication complexity is kn log n. Where do you talk? Where do you get that from? Why is it correct? K means you just need to set it as a classical K equals n. Okay, so let me get this straight. In the worst case scenario, where you set k equals to n on every node in the network, the nodes that comes out to kn log n. Yeah, I know what k is. N is the number of nodes, k is the sample size. So if in any single given round, you set k equal to n, meaning that if there's 1,000 nodes, you also do 1,000 samples, which means you set n equal to the full network. You have 1,000 nodes, you set your sample size to 1,000. If you configure it like a Vox does, it's k equals 20. Yeah, you can reduce it out. So by guaranteed communication complex, so first off, it's still log n. Like, you can reduce it out. Kn is a constant. You decided that constant. You could call it T. I don't care. You call it Q. I don't care. It's a constant. You decide that constant. It's a variable constant you select. It is a function of k and n. Whatever. So yeah, all right, fine. It's log n though. Its message complexity is log n. You select the. All right. Scroll down to see the graph in k. All right. Where am I scrolling down? I don't know what there is. There's like a 15-second delay or so. I hope I'm in the right place. Oh, it's getting my dinner time too. Let's see. What am I looking at here? Is this the right place? Like what, this graph? Figure 3. This is figure 2, that's figure 3. Okay, figure 3, thank you much. Proven lower upper bounds for when the avalanche generative model exhibits QIP. Okay. Okay, so if there are configurations that every node on the network has to do, mind you, every node on the network would do this. You're asking for every configuration on every single node to be the same, which is not unreasonable. We have defaults. But if the actual defaults are unreasonable, I just want to come to you and understand that if you set unreasonable defaults on every single node, the network will be unreasonable. It's also an overkill situation. You don't need to do that. All right, just want to be clear. Like, you can configure Avalanche to be stupid. You can stupidly configure Avalanche just like you can stupidly configure Bitcoin. If you do something stupid on if you build a network with stupid configurations, you'll get stupid results. That's just the way it works for everything. All right. Anyway, so make sure that we're not looking at a stupid configuration here. I have not ruled that out. I've not ruled, you know what I mean? But like, there's a chance. All right. So what am I looking at here? We got K and login QIP. All right. I don't know what this picture means. Proven lower and upper bounds when Avalanche generative model exhibits QIP. QIP is always achieved for K is greater than 1.5. Half of n over 2. Always achieve. I don't know what I'm looking at here. I jumped around too much, man. K is greater than n over 2. What? K is equal to log n stupid. Well, K is not a function. It's like you pick a constant K. It's like you say that I want to select 20 nodes each round. Okay? So like each round I select a K I select 20 nodes. That would be your K. If you want to make K a function, there's probably actually optimizations that might be able to be made there. I don't know. I don't think you need to do that. You get pretty good results with just setting K to be a constant. You know what I mean? But K is a constant. It's the number of nodes you select per round. Beta until you get consecutive number of beta consecutive successes. Okay, so like it's n is the number of nodes in the network, K is the number of samples per round, alpha is the quorum size. So it's the number of nodes you need. Just statistically made sense. You can actually, like, it's a formula. You can actually, I don't have it right now. Like, you can actually like plug in and say, if I do this, then I'll get these results. To get 60-40, it's a 60-20 liveness safety liveness guarantee, you need to plug in 20, 16. So you need a 20K, 16 alpha, I believe, and then beta of, I don't know what the default beta is off the top of my head. Hold on. Let me look at this then. Is that for the whole network or is it for a specific node? They require communication overheads ranging from 0 to KIN to KN for small security parameters K. Establish only partial order. This combination best featured traditional blah 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 blah. I think that's talking for the entire network, which kind of makes sense. The thing is, like, you're not locked into a specific, like, each node individually only makes n log n. I'm sorry, only makes log n communication complexity. Now that's actually, I see my, well, that is a worst case scenario. If you set k equal n, then you are looking at, I guess, kn. Just don't do that. Like, that's the answer. Don't do that. Like, you don't need to do that for the whole network to come to consensus. Is this somewhere else? Actually, let me go back up. I don't think that's what that means. I have to actually ask Kevin about that. I'm trying to understand where that comes from. Like, I think that's like the whole network, which is irrelevant, to be honest with you. It's still less than n squared, but whatever. Yeah, I have to look into what that means. Check section 3.8. Detailed breakdown on complexity. Communication. Yeah, thanks. This is live and not guaranteed for rogue transactions. We focus on message complexity and For the case of virtuous transactions, Snowflake and Snowflake are both guaranteed to terminate after KN blah blah messages. This follows from the well-known results of the epidemic algorithms, blah blah blah. Okay. Communication complexity for avalanche is more subtle. Let the DAG induced by avalanche have an expected branching factor of P. Consider the width of the DAG and determine the parent selection algorithm given B decision threshold. A transaction that has just reached a point of decision will associate project. But yeah, so like it's really hard to apply standard complexity. The message complexity per node is OK, while the total complexity is OKN. Well, that's, by the way, cool. And that's also what we know. So yeah, like per round, I guess it's log n. For each node, each query represents k samples. Therefore, the total messages per cost per transaction in expectation PKY. So branch factor P corresponds with the DAG. Okay. What? Why would that matter? I don't remember this part. Progress, then freeze a DAG at depth Y. Then we'll have roughly PY vertice transaction, of which P would expectation only PM recent transactions will be the progeny for decided decision for each node. Each query requires K samples, and therefore total message cost per transaction is an expectation of the branching factor of P. I don't know how to measure that. And so I think it's more like this. Yeah. Yeah, but like that's guaranteed for all K. right? So that's the k equals n. I'm actually surprised it doesn't get to n squared. I don't know. I'll have to talk to... Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm really gonna have to talk to Kevin about that one. Why that's in there? I don't think I understand that very well. Let's see. Less than n squared for outbox, sure, due to defaults. Yeah, right. So like, look, you pick a constant k. You find out we actually have know exactly what the limits are. If you, yeah, whatever. Okay, so what is the actual question here? The question is, all right, so let's go back to this. All right, so let's just assume that he is correct on this and I have a misunderstanding, which is fair. I do that all the time. K as a parameter controls the statistical accuracy of a user has to be blah, 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 blah. Whoa. Okay, so maybe even I misunderstand K, because K is supposed to be the... Maybe... Private randomness, select the number, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, he's saying the same thing, just in a different way. Okay, cool. Oh, there's a proof under assumption of strong network synchrony. What? What is 15? Snowflake paper, okay. Oops. Can't do that. So, under... Where is it? Where was I reading? God damn it. Okay, so under assumption of strong network synchrony, a relationship between the number of samples each user takes and the maximum tolerance of Byzantine accuracy system. In this framework, an individual can tune the number of samples they need to reach consensus. So user can core slices SCP. Okay, cool. This avalanche algorithm is built via 3 previous algorithms. Slush blah 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 blah. Heavy hitter. Okay. Sample K elements from L. He's got that right. Compute which indices are most likely to be in the majority element. What? Okay, yeah, I got it. Okay. Based on the frequency. Okay, cool. Compute a confidence interval for how likely the most common element seen is majority element. Yep, okay. He's got that correct as well. Repeat the above steps. Termed around until confidence interval shrinks to below a certain threshold. Yes, this is the correct algorithm. In case of slush, list L consists of the Boolean values whether the ith node believes a certain transaction. Okay, that's correct. So yeah, he's got the definition correct. That's right. I'm not sure about this. This is, I guess, where I'm being taught something and I don't understand it as well as I thought I did. Because this is, I guess, like I've been told over and over again, the communication complexity for Avalanche is log n. But that's actually just the number of, okay, I get it. I get where I'm getting this wrong. I'm confusing 2 terms. This is my bad. I apologize. You guys are right. What I was thinking of when I said that is the number of rounds it takes to come to consensus is log n. The actual communication complexity is the number of messages it takes per round times the number of rounds, which means that it would be K for the whole network. If you were to look at the entire network as one big holistic beast, okay? That means that for every node, they use K sample messages for log n rounds, which would be K times n times log n. So the entire network has a message complexity of Kn log n. Okay, that is correct. I am not. Get it. I get it. Okay. Sorry. I'll eat crow. That's correct. So the entire network, if you were to just imagine Avalanche as an entire huge, like one network, okay, where you were in control of every node and you were responsible for the cost associated with every single message. If you were to calculate the cost of the entire network to make a single decision on a per message basis, it would be KN log n, assuming you own every single node. I mean, it's not even whether or not you assume you own every single node. It's just because you own the cost. Like that's why I'm phrasing that way. Because I also want to differentiate between that and a global network. Like we, as a global network, we don't care what the cost for every single node is. So for us, for me, as an individual node owner, I'd only care log n. Like I could factor out literally I could factor out the whole K part, right? Like it wouldn't matter. Like I would just care about how many rounds and assume that whatever I tune K to will be the cost per round, right? So for me, as a narcissistic, self-centered kind of like node, that's all I would care about. But for the entire network, if you were to take the entirety of the whole thing, and like, let's say, I don't know, Microsoft was building their own network that internally used Avalanche, in order to calculate the cost, you would need to say, for our internal purposes, for our network, it would be K and log n message complexity for every single decision. Okay, fine. Fine. That is correct. I think that for the message complexity for classical, it's not actually ON, is it? It's actually O3? I mean, ON squared, I should say. It's not actually ON squared, it's O3 for most practical implementations of. Even then, honestly though, that's if you're Byzantine fault tolerant, which absolutely nobody on their internal network would ever need. I think it's ON squared for a crash fault tolerant network. I might be wrong. Y'all can correct me on that. I'm not certain. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a consensus expert. I learn things as I go and I pick them up as I need to through conversations like this. But I believe that for a crash fault tolerant network, it would be ON squared message complexity, and then for a Byzantine, you would actually have to bump that up to ON cubed. I don't know. I feel like I read that somewhere and I might be wrong. All right, but either way, like KN log n is pretty good. What was the argument we're trying to solve here? Like, what? Help me out. What are we looking at here? You're trying to tell me that Avalanche has committee selection, right? I don't think that that's a definition of committee selection. Like, I don't. Like, a committee is a literally decides for the network. This is not that. It's a random statistical sampling. It's not the same thing. In Stellar, you pre-select your quorums. Like these are things you establish. This is a group of people making a decision on this piece of data, and then you have this quorum intersection, and then that's how you basically decide whether or not something is going to be transferable. It's kind of like if I had a subnet, and then I had overlapping validators between those two subnets, that would be a quorum intersection, right? That would be closer to a quorum intersection. But for the individual subnet, which is a individual layer 1, that would not be each round is not a committee. It's not the same thing. If you right, Avalanche could be configured to have pre-selected quorums. Doubt. Just remove the random sampling. I have to think about that. Would it still be guaranteed to come to consensus? It couldn't, though, because Stellar actually has different data sets that the quorum is operating on. You know what I mean? Like Stellar, each quorum is operating on, cares about different pieces of data. Am I wrong in that? I believe I'm right. Each quorum in Stellar has a different set of data that it's concerned with. Then why do you need a quorum? Help me out. Like I'm on air, like waiting for you to tell me something. I thought the quorum intersection was to resolve conflict sets. Like if I'm trying to transfer and I have a conflict set, each node selects what quorum means to them. Each node selects what a quorum means to them. Look, if you're not randomly sampling, you've so what you're saying is each node, first off, this is not my understanding of Stellar. My understanding of Stellar is that each node has a quorum that they join. Each node selects what a quorum means to them by selecting a set of quorum slices. So I joined this quorums that I agree with, right? Yeah, these are the quorums that I want to participate in. That is my understanding. Correct. Okay. Is analogous to avalanche sampling, and that's what Chitra puts forward in his paper. So analogous and same are not analogous is not the same as same. If I join Stellar, I have to be, first off, I believe I have to be accepted into the quorum. Like, I can't just join a quorum, can I? It's not ad hoc. Like, I have to join a quorum and they have to accept me into that quorum. And a quorum is a set of nodes. Am I not correct in that? Like a quorum is a set of nodes. I have to be accepted into that quorum. Like, it's just like a classical protocol at that point. It's like a little mini classical set of consensus nodes. Quorum spans a collection of quorum slices in Stellar. I don't know what that means. All right, man. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm getting a little tired on my end. It's becoming 6 p.m. I did skip lunch. No, can ignore quorum slices and never communicate with them. Okay. But still have consistency with them. I mean, it's a voting protocol. Am I incorrect in assuming that? When you do a quorum, it's like little voting protocols, and some of them have overlapping participants, okay? And that's called the quorum slice, correct? They're the same quorum slice when they have overlapping participants. So set X, Y, Z, A, B, C, set, I don't want to do this. The point is, like, that's the quorum slice from my understanding. That's the part where they overlap is called the quorum slice. And that's how they make decisions that kind of cascade through the network, right? But you're trusting that slice. You're not actually like the decision-making process is the larger set, right? That is actually coming to decisions, I thought, on independent data, because they cannot come to decisions together. And if you're saying you have to trust the quorum slices, what does that even mean? Like, the overlap is the V blocking set. Can you explain it simply? If you can explain it simply, I'd appreciate it. It's actually really easy for me to explain Avalanche simply. Can you do that for Stellar? Maybe I'm misunderstanding how things work in Stellar. That's very possible. But I'm told they can't even come to consensus over the larger network. Okay, so I sample is like a single quorum slice. Yeah, that's my understanding. It's kind of, well... I'm not sure that means anything. The case size sample is like a single quorum slice. What are you doing to get, like, what? It's analogous to K. What are you doing? Like, what does that mean? Like, oh man, I really want to get some resolution to this. I do think that there's something interesting here. I don't know what. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's Avalanche. Like, I don't see anything here that makes me think, oh god, this guy is like completely like translated to sell at Avalanche. Like, that's kind of where I am. But I think that under certain conditions with certain configurations, they might be equivalent. Like, for instance, you said if you do not randomly sample your quorums, if you do not randomly sample K, but you select the same K every single time, then it is equivalent. But, like, why would you do that? Like, that's not how consensus is reached across the whole network. You have to randomly sample. Every node has to randomly sample. Otherwise, you do not know if the network, like, you will not guarantee the network comes to consensus. You won't, because especially not with ad hoc membership. Like, if people are joining and leaving the network at random, like at will, like you won't be able to guarantee that the network comes to consensus if you select the same people every time. It's not. I think it's a pretty essential part of the. Where's the link to that? I don't even know where to find that now. Hold on. See if I can find the patent link. I don't have it. Where is it? I know I got it in like Twitter bookmarks. I'm so hungry right now. Where did I bookmark that? Yep, okay, here we go. Let's see, is it in the patent? So going through the patent. Randomly sample from known nodes. It's right there. It's literally, it's necessary. It's literally right there. Right? It's necessary. All right, man. Look, I think that's not the claim section. Priority claim. Priority, blah, 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 blah. Field, background, Byzantine, blah, blah, blah. The summary includes it in the claim. Random. Detailed description includes the randomness. It's at the bottom. Yeah, I'm not like super patent expert here. So you're gonna have to tell me what I'm not noticing about the patent. Pseudo-random number generator, like it's literally throughout the whole thing. It works in Stellar anyway. I don't know what you're talking about. Randomized sampling and disable decisions. Like, it's strictly required to be random. Like, it won't work without randomness. And, like, Stellar doesn't work. Because it's not. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to go back over Stellar. If you say there's something, if you say there's a there, you have shown me that you are competent enough. And by that, I mean, like, I don't mean like that as a... Sometimes when you pay a compliment to somebody, it comes across like an insult. I mean, like, at first I was kind of skeptical as shit. Or as crap. You know, like, you seem to know what you're doing enough to me to take you seriously as heck. So I'll look at it, but like everything here is about randomness throughout this entire patent because it's super essential. The system will not come to consensus in a global scale if you do not do this. And you cannot select the same K. You cannot. It won't work. And I don't think it's similar to Stellar. Like, from what I remember of Stellar, like, I've got an interview, I don't even remember the name of the guy, where I interviewed, I forgot the guy's, this is where I started understanding Stellar. Like, after that, I got into it more. Nikhil Saraf, I interviewed him, and, you know, why can't I?
Stellar lumens and everything that's Stellar.
Like, literally, we've talked about them. That's how it does my name. Like, I had, this is where I started to look into Stellars after this, and I did not find that it worked very well. But I also forget things like a whole lot. Like, there's too much going on, and I can't remember everything, so I gotta JavaScript. Like, I gotta really look into it. So, like, I take what you say seriously that he found a thing, but, like, does that thing matter is what I'm kind of, like, wondering right now. Like, if you find, like, an edge case where X, you know, like, where two things might be equivalent, that's fine, but that doesn't define the whole process. The whole process is what matters. If you found, like, an extreme case, for instance, Avalanche, when K equals N, when the sample's size is equal to N, it literally becomes a classical protocol, and it might exactly match a specific classical protocol. But that does not mean that Avalanche is a classical protocol. It means that it is, in its extrema, it becomes a classical protocol, right? I feel like he might have found an extrema, an extreme area of configuration, which makes Avalanche equal to Stellar in some nonsense way, but like Stellar doesn't have the insight that Avalanche does, right? So Stellar doesn't work and Avalanche works. That's the insight. And if you can explain that, then that's patent worthy. I'm not saying he's saying that avalanche is classical. Although it is related to classical, you can relate it all the way back to classical protocols. If you set k equal to n, you have a literal classic protocol with ON squared bounding number of messages per node. ON cubed, I think, per network, I believe. So, but the answer is don't fucking do that. Like, don't do that. That's the answer. Don't do that. That's bad. Like, you know, because the message complexity is, it's actually ON squared log n. It's, if you take for the whole network, it would be ON squared log n, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong about that now that I think about it. I probably shouldn't open my mouth. Like, it's basically, if you take, where's the avalanche paper right here? If you take this thing that you pointed out correctly, I was wrong. I'll eat crow. If you set k equal to n, this immediately becomes n squared, right? And then you got log n. So it'll be n squared message complexity. Actually, I think, because I actually think it's actually n cubed in reality. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Whatever. I'm probably wrong about that. Like, that's terrible. Don't do that. Like, that's the answer to that. Don't do that. Like, that's not the insight. The insight is you can set k lower. And we set it 20. And it can remain constant. It can remain constant throughout the history of the entire... But why would you do that? Like, I mean, I guess you could do that. So if k is equal to log n, it's equal to stellar. But how does that change the number of rounds? And like, does stellar even have the concept of rounds? I don't think they do. Like, there's no rounds in stellar, right? Like, maybe to achieve a certain property, if you set k equal to log n. By the way, k should just be at least log n. If you set it higher, it should still be equivalent to stellar. It's like, if you have 1,000 nodes, and you set it k equal 20, it should at least be stellar. Like, but like, if that's correct. And so as a composite fallacy, so be unconvinced for a period of time. I don't know. Look, I really want to continue this conversation. I appreciate you coming on. I think this is really good stuff. I'm glad you pointed me at this. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to resolve this today. I want you to come back and, you know, participate in the chat more, and I'm happy to like talk to you more about this, especially after hours. Like, this is the kind of after hour work I'd love to do. I have 2 hours which I allocate for the stream. And those 2 hours I want to keep for the general GBP audience, you know what I mean? But like, after the stream, I'm happy to talk to you about anything you want. I love this. We've added another hour and 10 minutes to my allotted time because you asked good questions. And this helps me as much as it helps anybody who's interested. So this is great, but I do have to get dinner. I hope you understand that I'm not blowing you off. Please come back. Smash that like button and subscribe. This is quality content. So appreciate you. You are... And I really appreciate you coming on. So, yeah. All right, guys. And with that, I must depart. I must leave. And appreciate your big brain time there. All right, guys. Bicycle.